First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
What up, doe?
Braden Herrington here with Siino Evil, John Siino in the house. It is up next. You found us at postwrestling.com or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever podcast app you are listening to us on, the Post Wrestling feed. And we are, you want to do it for me, Siino?
Friends?
Oh, right. Yeah, I was going to say we are live.
I was going to say
YouTube.
I was going to say you're Davey Portman because this overlay here says Davey Portman and Siino Evil. So I'm not sure who I'm talking to. I'm not sure what show I'm on, and I'm not sure what we're talking about. So it's going to be a great show tonight.
Yes. Well, it is, in fact, up next. I am Braden. He is Siino. He is filling in for Davey Portman. His mom is in town. They are in St. John's, Newfoundland, I believe, today. And
okay.
Days. So
what's going on over there? Is anything?
I think they just want to see some Canada, explore, have some fish and chips from Canada, the fake fish and chips. I'm sure they're judging on the quality of it. But, near the sea, you get some good fish there. So all the best to Davey and his mom. We had a nice little barbecue with some friends, and including Steph Chase and Benno and my girlfriend April and Davey and his mom, and we had a nice barbecue and sent them on their way. So hope they're having some fun travels.
I have one question because I listened to this past episode of Detox, and one thing that you and Jordan were talking about was if Davey's mother asked you who cleaned the room, that you would tell her the truth and not lie. Was that question brought up at all?
Yeah, let's hope she never listens to the podcast, because then if you did, you just opened the can of worms.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Imagine she's traveling home next week back to the UK, and she's like, oh, I'm going to listen to these guys. No, I don't think there'd ever be a way she'd be listening to me.
She'll watch two random guys that aren't even her son.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a NXT show on a Tuesday. I doubt she'll listen to this. But
so Davey and I are roommates, obviously, and his mom was coming for a little while. So I offered up my room and everything. I've been crashing at my girlfriend's place, and he got a cleaner in at the BDE. So we had this cleaner lady come in, and basically it looked like a completely different apartment. And he told me, don't tell my mom, don't tell Harry, don't tell my mom that I got a cleaner. I just told her that I spent a long time cleaning it. And I told him, I will lie for you, but if she were to press me, I'd fold instantly. I could not lie to, I'm not a good liar. I don't like lying. And especially if it's a friend's mom.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
that's
no.
tough.
So it didn't come up, but when I was in the apartment, I went, oh, Davey just did such a good job, didn't he? Wow.
She just found out, because right now Davey's like, hey, Mom, you want to see what I usually do on Tuesday nights? And she just puts on this show, and the first thing she hears is, Davey lied to his mother. I'm sorry, Davey. I'm sorry, Mrs. Davey Portman.
Yes. So, yes, welcome to the show, Siino. Welcome to the show, everyone out there in the post-wrestling universe world. It's Tuesday night. We're going to talk about some NXT, as we always do here on Tuesday nights. We will be back next Tuesday, Davey and I, regular scheduling programming. But then we have Heatwave in Toronto that we will be attending live. So the judge and jury is still out if we do a show post that, because we literally live 5 minutes away from the Scotiabank, that we could make it home, quickly record something, and possibly go out. But I'm glad the apartment's clean, because you, Mr. John Siino, you'll be visiting the BDE. You're crashing with us for Money in the Bank weekend. So are you excited? It's about a week away or so.
Yeah, it was kind of like up in the air if I was going to be able to make the trip or not, but I got things done, and I'll be there. I'll be there Thursday night up until Monday, so I'll be there for the entire Money in the Bank cash-in Heatwave weekend. Toronto's going to be on fire, and yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's the first time I've been to a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. It's like the only big one I haven't been to at all the wrestling shows, I feel like, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see you guys and to be in Toronto. Just last year, I was around this time, right, for Forbidden Door. Right. So it's just around I got my memories popped up today saying the Forbidden Pour happens, and that was
1 year ago.
So yeah, I'm excited to come up there and see you guys.
1 year ago, we had the Forbidden Pour, which it was awesome. Shout out anyone who was there in spirit, but which means also a year ago when Kenny kicked out of the One Winged Angel on one.
Ooh,
I'm still feeling the shocks from that one. That was quite a show to go to live. But yeah, we did a little bit of a hangout, a live event, and we're doing another one this not this week, I guess next Saturday, July 6th in the 6th at Wide Open. Yes, venue change here, but we decided to just do more of a hangout with our listeners and any of our friends. So we've dropped down to a bit of a smaller bar, and our friends over at Wide Open are always happy to have us, and we love them, and we are happy that we're going to be throwing this little party. So no cover, just show up 2 p.m. onward, and we're going to have some of our friends there. You'll be there, John, Way, Benno, Steph, and who knows who else. But come for the wrestling-themed drinks, which includes the espresso martinis after the Drinkers Pub in Philly, how popular they got. I know Davey's requested Caesars because maybe there's some people who need to try Canadian culture or not. I can understand why people don't like Caesars, but and maybe the Brooks Jensen.
The Brooks Jensen, the Caesar Sokoa, yeah. So Wide Open is the place that has the karaoke right when you enter on the right-hand side, right?
Wide Open's literally like this little dive bar on Spadina. It doesn't usually have karaoke, but by God, we're going to do some wrestling karaoke. So bring your singing voice if you're down. We'll let anyone sing. So,
and Are you going to sing Butterfly?
Oh, yes.
Sorry to bring the mood down, but rest in peace to the lead singer of
Shifty Shell Shock.
Crazy Town, yeah.
Yeah, from Crazy Town. Butterfly is such an iconic song with the Chili Pepper sample, but that song has been one of my karaoke songs, and it's a tough one. It's a fast song. There's lots of rapping in it, so I'll have to sing that very soon because pour one out for Crazy Town. But yes, July 6th, visit us. Go to postwrestling.com/live for all the details on there. But it is free. Come over, buy some drinks, and hang out with us. We'll get rowdy for Money in the Bank and maybe drink your sorrows away on how much you may have to drop for a ticket to Money in the Bank. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess. But it would be awesome to see some of you in Toronto next Saturday, July 6th. So come hang out with us. We will be having a party as per usual. And if you got Post Wrestling or Poison Rana merch from chop-tees.com, well, rock it. We would love to see it. Take some photos. It'll be a fun time. But are you looking to do anything else while you're in Toronto? Is there something you need to do or you haven't done?
I kind of feel like I have to stop. I know Ben will put up a picture at in front of New Ho King. I feel like I need to at least pass by it and take a picture. I feel like that's something that I need to do. I know me and Ben were kind of like, we're both big Wu-Tang fans. We were talking about possibly checking out Raekwon's. I know you kind of like not recommended maybe going to that part of Toronto, but we do kind of want to check out his little purple tape slash, like, it's a barbershop slash gift shop that Raekwon has up there. Yeah, so maybe check that out.
Yeah, it's not in a bad area or anything. It's just kind of away from like other it's kind of just by itself. It's not like it's in Scarborough deep into like the East End because you're only here for a few days. But yeah, we should totally go to New Ho King after Money in the Bank. Maybe some wrestlers will be there trying to get the pop culture reference stuff. But yeah, I'm super excited for Money in the Bank next week and the whole weekend and everything and having everybody kind of hanging out. We're really proud of the community with Post and Poison Rana, so definitely looking forward to seeing some people. Are we excited to maybe see Homelander show up at Money in the Bank from the boys?
If this is the best show we have, right? Sponsored by the boys. The boys films in Toronto, so those guys are always up there. Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get to see the boys, and I don't mean Dalton Castle's former boys, but the actual boys. But I feel like if you just get a backstage segment with Homelander and Cody just kind of looking at each other, that's all we need. Like, they don't have to do anything in ring, but just to have that face off would be awesome. But I'm not sure, what their schedule is like, or maybe we'll see A-Train with A-Train. There's so many different combinations you could have if they really want to do it with the boys. But yeah, I think that would be a pretty cool little crossover if they were able to do it.
Yeah, I'm hooked on that show again with the first few. The first two were like okay, and now the third and fourth just right back into the chaos of that show. But yeah, it's filmed here, and then Money in the Bank is here, and it's sponsored by it. So I'm wondering if there's some sort of crossover. So we will see. But yeah, Cody is Homelander essentially anyway. So I'm trying to think of some other stuff because I've been away. Apologies for no Poison Ranas on Sundays, but we will be back to regular scheduled programming. Unfortunately, not this Sunday because it's Forbidden Doors, so there's really no point of going live during the day. So we'll somehow talk about Forbidden Door probably next week on Up Next with Davey and myself. So look forward to that. But yeah, it seems like, wrestling's pretty hot right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, and some of it includes even Monday Night Raw. I watched some of it, and I mean some of it. It's a 3-hour show, but I really enjoyed some of the stuff that's been going on, especially Drew McIntyre being like one of my favorites on the mic now, and the whole thing with the what is it, the bracelet?
Yep, he took the bracelet that said AJ and Larry on it.
I wear a very similar bracelet, so it is kind of funny. It did make me laugh, but I loved that whole thing. And I mean, that SummerSlam match, knock on wood that Punk doesn't get injured in it again, but that's going to be a real like money match, and I'm sure people are going to be really looking forward to it. It's kind of the official CM Punk return.
I didn't realize these like bracelets were such a thing, but now that I'm finding out about it and it's so popularity, I'm just gonna throw the idea out there. Dicky Bird, if you're listening, Poison Rana bracelets that says Friends on it, like the Friends bracelets. That'd be perfect.
Frogs and Friends, baby.
Ooh, like little frog emojis like on the bracelet itself. I think that actually might work. Absolutely. But yeah, Raw's been great. And I think my number one question, a lot of people's question, was like the follow-up of the Wyatt Sicks angle. And I'm not sure if you're able to check it out, but this whole like sit-down interview with Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas or Bo Wyatt, whatever you want to call it, it's not the direction that I expect them to go, but I'm really glad that they are taking this to like more like a personal level, and they're kind of like surpassing the spooky stuff. They're still using it, obviously, but the root of this group is literally a brother trying to like carry on his brother's legacy, which I think is amazing if they're able to do it like correctly.
Yeah, no, I actually thought it was great, and it was almost shocking when you just finally cut to see Bo's like face and reaction. It's weird because Davey and I do a show called Was Next, where we go back in time and look through NXT, and we finally just got through the Bo Dallas title reign and kind of him in almost now floating around before the iconic "he's touching my bum" kind of kicked out. So it is interesting seeing now all these years later, finally seeing him kind of on TV. So the first week where it was last week, where it was kind of Hollywood Horror Nights or, Halloween Haunt or whatever, but I wasn't too into that off the get-go. And I'm like, okay, I get it, because it's, Bray and family and all that. But this week's was a step in the like a better direction. And I loved the adjustment to the Uncle Howdy mask. Oh, yeah. Where he's like ripped the bottom out. You're a big horror fan, and I'm sure they got I'm blanking on the names, but I saw them tweeting about taking credit. I think it's
Jason Baker, if I'm not mistaken, the same people that worked on it originally. It's funny because I follow a lot of different like horror podcasts and like review shows, and like for this particular like reveal of the Wyatt Sicks with all 6 of them in the back, got a lot of coverage and talking, and like these people weren't really covering when it was a Fiend. Like that kind of flew under their radar, but now that like this got a lot of traction, I feel like the Wyatt Sicks and like the actual group and having like 6 different people is definitely getting a lot more attention. And this is exactly what I wanted when Bray Wyatt first returned right before his passing, where we saw them in the crowd and we're like, oh, who's going to play the rabbit? Who's going to play this? And now that we're finally seeing this like come to fruition, I think is really cool, and I'm excited. It's all like, how are they going to wrestle in the ring? That's like the next question, right? But I do like what they're doing outside of the ring with the sit down with Bo Dallas and kind of getting more personal into it. So I'm really looking forward to this, and hopefully they show up in Toronto on one of these shows. You never know.
Yeah, maybe they're involved somehow if they have some sort of epic entrance. I think back, the Fiend debuted at SummerSlam in Toronto, and being there was pretty epic. So I imagine maybe they have something very, very similar to kind of replicate that feeling. But yeah, early in it, like it's weird because we're in this PLE, I mean the Paul Levesque era, where everyone seems to be like normal people. So to bring back spooky stuff, it kind of feels like 2 steps backwards. But obviously with everything what it means and stuff, I guess it has a bit more importance. But it was kind of stunning hearing the person, like, I guess it's Bo interviewing Bo in this segment. But when he said, how did it feel when your brother died? It was like, damn. Okay.
Yeah. If they're able to somehow like merge like what they were doing with the whole Fiend stuff, will make it a little bit more realistic. Kind of how when the Wyatts first debuted at NXT with the whole like cult status thing. If you take that and kind of mix it with maybe like Devil's Rejects, Rob Zombie style, where it's like very scary, but these are actual real people that can like hurt you. That's what they need to kind of do with the Wyatt Sicks. So I don't know. I'm having like high hopes for it, but at the same time, like it's really tough to pull off, right? So it's all about execution.
Yeah. Something else I liked is Braun Breaker just being the new Goldberg, essentially. And the announcement of Braun versus Sammy for Money in the Bank is a pretty big draw for me. I'd say that sounds like it could be an awesome match, especially where both guys are at now in their career. So really love the stuff with Braun just running down everybody. I think back to a few weeks ago with Ricochet, but just awesome. And I think he should just take the title from Sammy.
I think he will, honestly, with the way that they're presenting him right now. I feel like he has to, right? He can't just lose clean, and I don't want it to end on a disqualification or some other bullshit finish on a premium live event. So I feel like this is the time. I think Braun's gonna win it here. But I feel like the entire Money in the Bank card is really shaping up. Even like the men's ladder match so far, you have Chad Gable, who came back from the dead, Andrade, Jey Uso, and Carmelo Hayes, and there's still like 2 more spots left. Like that match alone, I think might steal the show, but this card looks pretty strong. Initially, like there was a little concerns going into it, but now that it's kind of shaping up, you have this new bloodline that's going to be facing off in a 6-man tag. I feel like it's really coming together now.
Yeah, I mean the debut of Jacub Fatu, the Samoan werewolf. Am I the only one who hears that or reads that in Armando Estrada's? For those, Umaga, right? What was he? The Samoan bulldozer, and now the Samoan werewolf. It's the next evolution there. And this guy right away looks like a killer. And having Corey Graves basically like hyping up like this guy's dangerous. He's a crazy person. Look at him, and then taking out your champion. Like I wouldn't put it past him to do Cody versus Jacub Fatu at SummerSlam, like 1-on-1. He should pin Cody in this 6-man match. I was pretty done with the bloodline stuff, but I think he is someone who's a lot more talented than some of the other guys in the group. So right away should be like positioned as their up and coming like headliner leader.
Yeah, and hopefully they let him talk. I know there was concern about him possibly like overshadowing Solo, and I think he will if he gets the mic, because this guy has a lot of personality. He has a lot of swag about him when he talks, and obviously when he wrestles like a cruiserweight. So I think if they let him actually be himself, that we saw like in MLW and whatnot for the last bunch of years, I think he can actually like really become really popular to the fact where he might like babyface himself whenever he's out there with the bloodline. But while we're speaking of bloodline, and rest in peace to one Sika Anoa'i, the father of Roman Reigns, just passed away earlier today. One half of the Wild Samoans, legendary, one of the originals, head of the table, right? He's one of the original tribal chiefs here. Uncle Sika, rest in peace, man. A lot of memories, and obviously your family still is gonna live forever. All these Samoans and all their kids. Like I feel like the Anoa'i family is gonna be forever mixed with wrestling one way or another, and he was one of the ones that started it.
Yeah, rest in peace, Sika, and they're doing the bloodline
acknowledgement on MSG on SmackDown
in Madison Square Garden, and I'm sure that'll be referenced or brought up. Wouldn't be maybe I know this is Roman's dad, right?
Roman's dad, also Rosie's dad as well. So obviously he was the uncle to the Usos. But just reading John Pollock's article earlier, he main event in Madison Square Garden against like Bob Backlund, he fought Hulk Hogan and whatnot. Wow. So MSG is like the perfect place for the bloodline to be there. And obviously Roman's taking some time away, which is well noted. But it should be a pretty emotional. They might kind of maybe change what they had originally planned for the bloodline and maybe make it more of a tribute to Sika.
Yeah, I'm sure they definitely do a proper tribute, and still it's in a weird way they can tie it into what's current, which is crazy. So considering, but this bloodline's never going to end. I mean, okay, so keeping score here, weeks ago, you get you have the Usos, you have Roman Reigns, you have Solo Sikoa, who's entered in the picture in the last year. Then you have Tongaloa. Then you got, who's the other one? Sorry.
Tama Tonga. You got Hikuleo coming in at some point.
Then Jacub Fatu shows up, and here I am watching this on SmackDown being like, damn, like Rikishi wasn't lying. He was backing that ass up. Like these Samoans, man, what's going? They got a whole district.
What's crazy to think? Like last time we saw Roman, right? It was he lost to Cody Rhodes, who was finishing the story for his father, and now Roman's gonna come back, and his first time back is gonna be his first time without his father. So they could definitely play with that in the story if they wanted to. Like I took time off, I lost my father. I know how you felt, Cody. That's like, I mean, we kind of expect Roman to be babyface anyway, but he could literally come back and just cut a promo about his father, and boom, he's the biggest babyface in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the end game here is War Games, OG Bloodline with Sami Zayn joining in with Roman, the Usos versus the new guys. That's like money, printing money at this point. No matter what has been going, like I said, I didn't like the stuff they've been doing, but now it seems like with this new kind of injection there, they could potentially be pretty great. So I think that's kind of a long end game where we will get to this big showdown of team versus team. But it's crazy. Like you knew like, oh, there's lots of Samoans who are wrestlers, but then like they just keep coming. It's just nonstop. And then you see Jacub Fatu, the newest member, and he's got like 7 kids. So like this bloodline is just never gonna end. It'll last for eras.
And with WWE kind of like touring the world, they during Germany, they did France, obviously they just did Glasgow. Like I can honestly see, especially with The Rock kind of being behind the table there, a show in the future either in Samoa or Hawaii, because I know his grandmother did a like promotion in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken. But I could definitely see like a PLE or something happening there, and imagine they do like War Games like in the middle of Samoa. Like that would be freaking amazing. I don't know what the logistics of that happening is, but I could definitely see now the time for it to happen. The Rock, I could just a wrestling show on the islands, I think would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Great way to travel, to make an excuse to go to somewhere very nice and beautiful. Because like WWE's hyping up, like, oh, go to SummerSlam in Cleveland. Go to what's the thing they're announcing?
Indianapolis. They announced SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and Mania are gonna all be happening there.
I'm like, yo, why don't you do like Mexico City? Mexico Arena, so we can just go to Mexico.
I think it might happen. There was like talks recently of like WWE being and talking to AAA or also in Puerto Rico. So and I think now we're going to see all these shows around the world. Japan, I could definitely see happening. Yeah. Now's the time. They're working on all these different companies. They're getting in bed with a lot of different promotions. So I think we could definitely see a lot of different countries that never had a PLE before getting it in the next like 2 to 3 years.
I think so too. I think you'll see it like really scatter into different territories and places, which is great for the fans. It's so awesome seeing new fans get to like experience these things. So don't take it for granted. But speaking of Bloodline, I saw an interesting story, and I swear we'll get to NXT, but through this like NHL interview podcast, Kevin Owens mentioned that his son has stepped into the ring for his first attempt at some training. So maybe the Bloodline will run strong here in Canada with Owenstein,
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he'd have to go with Owenstein, right? Or just change his name to something else. But this guy's, we started seeing pictures of him years ago, just growing and growing, growing to the point where he's like overtowering his dad. But now to hear that he's getting in the ring, he's got to be like what, like 18, 17?
Like 16, 17, 18, something young.
Yeah, so. I feel like this guy's like, you just look at him and you just think he's going to be a wrestler, right? But who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to. But the fact that he stepped in the ring, I guess he has some sort of loving for it. So I guess he might. You never know.
It worked for Dom. It's working for him. And now he's on Raw eating chicken nuggies and getting nudes.
Living the life.
Possibly. Living the life. Yeah. That's one of the crazy storylines. You got, hey, we're a spooky cult and my brother died and now we've taken over his spooky cult. And then the next storyline is a guy like being chased by this like what I describe as like a nymphomaniac. I'm not quite sure. I've not been watching week to week, but it's just an interesting thing because WWE's got the Liv Morgan storyline. And then when I watched Wednesday nights, I got Mina, Mariah, and Tony all running over the place. It's a hot summer. It's a cruel hot summer is what's going on in the world of wrestling.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I feel like you said, wrestling in general has been at its hottest. Raw's breaking records with their ratings, and SmackDown had a huge rating. They're all going against like these NBA playoffs and NHL playoffs, and we just finished Game 7, and Raw did a monster rating against that on Monday. So, whatever momentum they got it going. And it's funny because even AEW, I've been enjoying the past couple of Dynamites. Obviously, everybody knows what happened with the ratings for last week, but I've been enjoying Dynamite as well in the last couple of weeks. Going to Forbidden Door.
Yeah, this last week's with the face-to-face with Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, who I think Ospreay and Swerve put on a hell of a promo that made me way more into the match than I was prior to. So that is going to be a hell of a main event. And you can kind of see it could go either way. So I thought this week's Dynamite was one of the best ones, if not my favorite one of the year, with some great wrestling, some great segments. And who knew that Ospreay would be one of my favorite promos in wrestling, full stop. But then everyone's like hopped up about the ratings and wants to talk about the ratings. I'm like, I don't know. It was a great show. And when I go to watch it on bootleg websites or whenever my friends say they watch it online, those get lots of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of views too. So as long as it's a good show for me, I'm like, cool, whatever. But you would like to see them bounce back with ratings, considering like if WWE's super hot, then it should maybe get fans watching their product as well. But I don't have any I do think the pay-per-view will hit, and I'm genuinely excited for it too, maybe more than some people, because like Swerve Ospreay, that should be pretty good. Some of the other matches on this card like sound awesome.
Shingo and Danielson.
Yeah, like Dragon v Dragon. It's the year of the Dragon. We got to see the final. Like these guys tied it up a while back, but finally, again, now the evolution of where they are, like seeing this match is underrated. They should have just announced this match from the get-go to get people like they did last year with announcing some of the big ones. But
or like what they're doing with Buffalo, where they announce matches like not even 24 hours before. Like now, like people are like it's too late. Like I feel like for most people to make plans to go to a Buffalo on a Wednesday night, but now they're finally announcing some good matches for that show.
Yeah, I was like, I was thinking maybe going to Buffalo. We've gone to the other Dynamites. This is the first time. Like Davey's away and some other friends are away, so the interest was not there. But then they announced these matches where it's Kyle O'Reilly and Zack Sabre Jr. I'm like, damn, who should have went? And I'm wondering if they do Ospreay Garcia on Collision.
They could, because right now Ospreay has a tag match. It's him and Swerve versus the Gates of Agony, which could end like in a couple of minutes. It's gonna be a total squash if they really wanted to. And then later on in the night, Garcia has like a promo like in the ring. So I guess that could lead to like him just straight up challenging Ospreay, and that way you have people to tune in on, because it's a taped episode of Collision tomorrow, so they could just go ahead and announce that, and then they go ahead and tape it for Saturday. Like
there's some problems with this pay-per-view too. Like why is the learning tree on it?
Yeah,
full stop. That's kind of silly. Hechicero is lit, no pun intended, but like that match is kind of head scratching and questionable. I'm sure it'll bang, and then we'll all be like, yeah, that was awesome, but kind of strange. But then there's some matches that I'm genuinely excited. I can't believe I'm saying I'm actually excited about Naito and Moxley. I think that could surprise us and be pretty good for the IWGP title. And in a weird way, maybe Naito should win, but New Japan is just a cold, dead fish at this point.
Yeah, but they need some wins on this show, right? They don't really have too much representation. It's once you get Stardom, get CMLL. I feel like New Japan has to win whatever matches they have.
I've had like so little interest in New Japan as of late. And then to top things off, these bastards go and pull Toriano from the G1. So like,
you're not even gonna watch it, right?
I'm not even gonna watch that. Toriano's not in the G1. Takeshita is though, so maybe I will be.
Yes,
joking. So, who do you think's winning here, Swerve or Ospreay?
It's tough. It's really tough. It all depends. Like, is Jeff Jarrett going to win this Owen Hart tournament? Because
headlining Wembley. That's promo, man. Holy.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Swerve winning and then facing who I think is really going to win the Owen Hart in Hangman Page. I think he's going to be the wild card. He's going to go in there and just destroy everybody. Then you have your rematch, Swerve versus Hangman, and then Danielson. I don't know who Ospreay would fight. I don't know. It's tough. Yeah. It's just, still early to kind of predict, but I feel like whoever the wild card is, and I'm leaning towards Hangman Page, I think they're going to win and challenge Swerve for the title.
Yeah, and I think the match will be crazy. I'm imagining the Don Callis family somehow cost Ospreay this sort of match, and then maybe we go back to another Takeshita Ospreay match. Takeshita could win the TNT championship, but really it should be the scapegoat with the momentum of the elite and stuff. So and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Orange Cassidy. Sorry, I think that is the match that has the most interest for me, because there's going to be some craziness in that one. So yeah, there are some matches on this pay-per-view that I'm like, holy crap, this looks pretty good. So definitely going to be loving that one. We'll be watching. So I'm trying to think of anything else. We talked about Money in the Bank as well coming up, Heatwave. What about this reports of Penta contract coming up? And I mean, people obviously are like, oh, maybe he'll go across to WWE. And I think that's just kind of like thinking ahead there.
Yeah, I mean, there was a report of like WWE being in talks with Triple A, but then that was kind of debunked, I feel like. But like he has an association, right? He's associated there, as well as Vikingo, as Phoenix as well. So you would think if let's just say Triple A stops working with AEW in full, and then their talent has to, starts leaving, I could definitely see that being a reason for Penta to come on over.
I mean, like, he's a completely different wrestler when you watch his AAA matches, when he's murdering people, and then you watch him on AEW and he's got, sorry, bless him, but like Alex Abrahantes, he's got to go. Like, he's ruined what Penta was before whatever it is he's done. What does he even do to translate? What is he translating anymore?
I watched the show. I forgot if it was Rampage or Collision, but I swear I saw Abrahantes like in 3 segments. Like he came out with Penta, and then he came back out with Phoenix, and he came back out with Commander. And it's like he just comes out and just, he's a cheerleader.
Get the hell out of here! No, yeah, he's ruined Penta, and Penta can do a lot better. And maybe it's too late for him in AEW. So maybe somewhere else. Like he is a different wrestler when you watched him elsewhere. So I'm kind of hoping for some good stuff there. So maybe one day we'll see him in the WWE NXT ring, maybe Lucha Brothers.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I can see that.
Yeah. Before we jump into NXT, this is a quick reminder for some people to check out some of the other podcasts that we got going on. Search Poison Rana in your podcast app. Hit that subscribe. Also on YouTube. But if you like what you hear, we got a whole lot of other shows, including a bonus show that just dropped last night over on our Patreon for all patrons there. It is a Behind the BDE featuring Benno from Grapple. He visited the BDE last night, so we did an impromptu show while Davey and I were prepping for a barbecue, drinking some tequila grapefruit sodas. And we chatted for almost an hour about some wrestling and some aliens and some everything. So you want to hear a great podcast, check out Benno, Davey, and myself from Behind the BDE. You get that if you join as a friend or family member over on the Patreon. But we also did a show with B Detroit from What Up Doe, where we talked about the Family Matters Psycho Twins episode from 1994, I believe. So that was a blast from the past. This week, we have a Was Next coming out from, I think, April 3rd, 2014, featuring, is it Sasha and Bailey again, or Emma, I think, and Charlotte, and kind of seeing Sami Zayn versus Corey Graves in a grudge match. And then for something next week, I know everyone's watching and keeping up with the Who Killed WCW. And we had such a fun time reviewing Great American Bash 99 just a few weeks ago. And I say that sort of ironically because it was one hell of a stinker. We decided that next week we will be recording another WCW show with our friend Jesse from the Six. And Davey, Jesse, and I will be looking at in full the final WCW Monday Night Nitro. So we will be chatting all about that. So I'll put a feedback thread up later, but you get all those shows for $5 and you get access to hundreds more. It's how we keep the bills paid and the lights on here at POISONRANA.CA. So patreon.com/POISONRANA, $5 to become a friend. And here, Davey and I almost murder Benno by forcing him to eat the bomb hot sauce on a podcast.
Yeah, I didn't want to spoil it, but like, I feel like it's worth the admission to listen to Behind the BD because some crazy stuff happens on that, including the heat wave before the heat wave here, just to hear
the heat wave,
possibly Benno dying. But yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this Nitro review. It's pretty cool because the last episode of the Who Killed WCW, they're showing a lot of behind the scenes footage that was filmed on the day of that last Nitro. So kind of have that, and then with you guys reviewing the final Nitro was a good companion piece for sure. But yeah, what are you guys waiting for if you're not signed up to the Poison Rana? Like the best shows in the business.
Yes, thank you. We've had a lot of fun with some of the shows in the past few weeks. So definitely check that out. And I'm sure we'll maybe convince Benno to do a few more random pods and get you and Steph on some shows and everything while we're all here. So looking forward to that. And again, love the whole community. But yes, check us out on Patreon. So there you go. And I swear, last plug here, but we got our order in of the Poison Rana button-up shirt and shorts combo that you can get at chop-tees.com/PoisonRana. You can check out these ridiculous fits that Dickie has put up. And Davey got his in the mail yesterday, and he's been rocking it ever since. He's probably somewhere in Newfoundland wearing it at a bar, and he's like really sticking out like a sore thumb right now.
And for anybody that knows Davey and his watermelon shirt, this is just up his alley. It's like perfectly made for him. So
yeah,
I feel
it's
like
made for us. Yeah,
he'll fit right in.
Yeah, we wear these kinds of shirts on the daily, so now we have our own brand, which is just on brand. So yeah, one day we're gonna get one with the frog, watermelon, and the jellyfish all in one. She'll be fire. Right, Froggy style, baby. That's how we do it. But let's talk about some NXT because we're on the road to a heat wave. I don't know where you are in the world out there, people, but it is pretty hot, actually. There is a heat wave. How is it in New York?
It's really hot. My AC is blasting right now. I'm literally under the blanket because it's so cold. But I'd rather do that than to feel the heat because it's really hot. I mentioned I'm recording at my girlfriend's place, and I left the fan that I use when I do record here in the other room, and I realized as we went live. So I'm a little sweated, but it's a heat wave. It's a heat wave, baby. Yeah. Let's talk about some NXT from Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. And we start the show with our GM, Ava, in the parking lot here. We know that's not a safe place whatsoever. And she's with all the referees, all the security. And she says, I need all of you to be on your best behavior because anyone can show up. Anything can happen here. And we've been having issues. So just be on your toes. And they're like, all right. Yes, ma'am. I like how all at the same time. They're like, yeah. They're all like talking over each other. And it's like, all right, you guys could have coordinated this a little better.
You mean referees are supposed to do their jobs? Come on.
Hey, we're living in a time now where referees have names. Can you believe that? I remember like back when, they didn't even acknowledge these guys, and now they actually like call them by their names. So shout out to the referees. They some of the hardest working guys in wrestling, obviously.
Yeah. Some of them. Yeah. Which ones? Yeah. Rick Knox is in AEW. So
yeah, I'm talking more of the WWE ones. Sorry, no offense. Yeah.
We go to our opening matchup, and it is a tag team turmoil match to determine the number one contenders for the tag champs at Heatwave. What's your favorite tag team turmoil match? I feel like we haven't had one of these in a while, but I remember WWE would do these once in a while. Especially, I remember there was like an Armageddon one for the titles. That was pretty good, like 2003 or something. But
that sounds about right. But you know what? Since I have the capability here of a one cage match, let's see what the highest rated tag team turmoil match of all time is.
Best match ever. Tag
team turmoil. So, 7.22. So not a high rating, but an episode of Monday Night Raw from 2023 supposedly is the highest ranked tag team turmoil match, and I had I think I remember this actually. The Street Profits, the Hurt Business, Alpha Academy, Judgment Day, and the OC. So the OCs are masters of tag team turmoils. Obviously, they're in every single one. But yeah, there was one back in Judgment Day 2001 that had APA, the Dudley Boys, He Who Should Not Be Named, and Chris Jericho, Christian and Edge, Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn, the Hardy Boys, and Just Incredible and X-Pac. That sounds crazy. That lineup of tag teams right there.
Wow, what a tag team turmoil, Matt. That one doesn't have anything on this one, though, here on NXT, because we start off with Idris and Malik already in the ring here, making their entrance, and then they're taking on. So how it works is teams face, and then if you get pinned or tap out, you're eliminated, and the next team comes in and continues on. So Idris and Malik taking on the New Catch Republic, and it's Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Now, I can't remember which one, but this theme song is a knockoff of Sledgehammer, and now Def Rebel got like this cut and copy guitar solo that they've used in like some of their other WWE themes and hoped no one else would notice. But this theme, man, this one,
WWE and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, whoever's making these changes, they've fixed a lot of things since the PLE has started, right? But one of the things they haven't fixed just yet is the music. I'm not sure if it's like a contract situation with Def Rebel. They just have to wait till their contract ends. But I feel like that's one thing that's getting a lot of criticism, and it needs to change. I don't know if it means bringing back some CFOs, Jim Johnson, I don't care who it is, or just have you do the music, Braden. Like, I feel like, I hear the beats that you have on Detox, like, are much better than what we hear here
on this show.
Yeah. So, that's a one like major criticism that WWE needs to fix. And hopefully they're in some working stage of finding some sort of replacement for Def Rebel, because their music does not hit. It's like maybe one out of every 30 songs is okay. And that's even like too much.
Yeah. Like, look, I don't know what the deal is with Def Rebel, but you can have themes from different bands and different producers and artists for different wrestlers. You don't need the same company for everyone. And I mean, Triple H, I know you love your Skulls and Metallica and everything, but like Ruthless Aggression 2, make it happen. Paul,
I like that.
Make it happen. Come on. In today's age, get Sexy Red.
Poppy. What was the other one? What's not Anna J? What was her name? The one Ali J. Remember? Was she a singer? I don't remember what she did. She just showed up and did nothing. I don't know what she did.
Yeah, she just showed up and was like, "Hey, look at me."
All right, maybe not her. Maybe not her.
Yeah. So tag team turmoil. Idris Malik taking on New Catch Republic, and we get some pretty sweet double team maneuvers from Idris and Malik here. They hit this like bulldog trip combo, and then a like heart attack blockbuster on Pete for a near fall. Eventually, though, it's Pete and Tyler who come back, and Vic Joseph, who I guess made a bet with someone, because really early in the show, he makes but they come back with Hawk Tua.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he was trying to say, something about Tui or something, but I guess he's not the first. I know Liv Morgan did something backstage using the whole Hawk Tui thing, but he's the first one to do it on the air, I feel like. So
I like Liv's better.
Yeah, I think me too. Yeah, this one felt a little forced. Like, I think he was trying to do like Tui or something, and then he just had the Hawk in there. Like,
this feels like something Morrow would always do, where you're trying to push the.
But Morrow sounded cool when he did it. No offense to Vic, but Morrow was able to pull it off.
I love Vic, but it did feel like he was shoehorning this one in, and very early on in the show. So he clearly won a bet tonight. Pete hits this crazy DDT on Idris for a near fall, and then they hit I hate this move, the double Tyler driver. It doesn't look like you're hurting someone at all, but they pin Idris, I believe, and then they eliminate this team to advance. And then out come Humberto and Angel Garza, and they start to beat down and start putting the boots to Tyler Bate here. And they hit the gory bomb cutter combo. What did the other guys did this in AEW? The Fatality, I think this was called.
For the Dark Order? Yeah.
I love a good gory bomb, and this looked pretty good, but it's broken up. Eventually, there's a big backbreaker on Bate. Pete breaks that up as well. And this is when Apollo Crews shows up for some reason, and this allows a distraction, and Tyler Driver 97 on Humberto, and they're also eliminated. So yes, Apollo Crews, has he been back on NXT? I'm forgetting.
He was on last week for the Battle Royal, and he was eliminated by Angel. So I guess that's his beef with him, the fact that he got eliminated. But he's not even on NXT. He's on Raw or Smackdown. I forget which show he's on, but Angel isn't on NXT either. He's also on the main roster. So you have like these, like, it's weird because like it happened last week with TNA, right? You had Joe Henry and Frankie Kazarian, and their feud like carried over to TNA, obviously. And now you have like main roster guys feuding in NXT as well. I guess Apollo Crews is really pissed off about getting eliminated by Angel, so he had to come out here and try to distract him.
But he's so angry that it was Angel Garza that threw him out.
Garza eliminated him, yeah.
Yeah, so Apollo Crews shows up in NXT again, and he's mad that Angel throws him out when, in reality, Apollo, you should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
Isn't that your whole gimmick when you're in NXT? You can see the future?
I don't know if he still has those powers. We got to get an update on his powers, I guess.
I love catching up people on NXT and trying to convince them that Apollo Crews' fortune teller gimmick was a real thing that happened. It doesn't sound believable, but it really did happen. So never forget, we were there during the dark days. We have the next team come out to face Tyler and Pete. The OC, the Good Brothers, come in and they start putting the boots to these two as we go to commercial break. When we come back, they're grinding down on Pete, tagging in and out. Eventually, though, Tyler's in and hits an airplane spin on Carl. In fact, spins him so much that he's screaming here. And then I think they even bleep him out because he's swearing.
Yeah, I caught that. Yep. I think that was legit.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Eventually, though, they come back and try to hit the Magic Killer, but that's blocked.
Did you hear what Booker called it? That Vic had to correct him?
What did he call it?
Booker says, it's the Magic City. And Vic's like, no, it's the Magic Killer. If you know, you know.
Magic City on a Monday. Right. Never been, but I've heard good things. I want to try the wings. So eventually the Magic Killer's blocked, and Pete eventually slips in and pins Gallows here, and they're also eliminated. So New Quarter Catch Crew going the distance in this tag team turmoil. Next.
What was here though? Like OTM, I don't know if like they missed a cue or whatever, because as Gallows and Anderson get eliminated, you see OTM on the stage. So, but they were never filmed during the match, and then like you see Gallows and Anderson start going after them, and the camera's kind of like, I don't know, move away from those. I don't know if there was a missed spot or they came out too late or whatever, but whatever was supposed to happen between OTM and the OC didn't really wasn't shown on TV.
Yeah, that was a little bizarre. I wasn't quite sure why they were just standing there, but I guess they wanted a better view of a tag team match that they weren't in.
Yeah.
I guess. Chase U is the last team out here. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson, they come in. Andre's on fire, hits his side Russian leg sweep, always looking good for a near fall. Eventually, though, they beat down on him, and Duke tags in. He hits an STO on Tyler, and then another one on Pete onto each other, which was great. And then I haven't seen someone do this since like Trish or Rico, but it's the like Rana where you handstand and then like flip them off the top rope, which is pretty cool. Eventually there's a spin out sidewalk slam on Tyler, which was crazy. I thought this was it, but Tyler gets out of it, hits the big strong boy lift up suplex on Duke, who is a way bigger guy than him. And then eventually there's a sunset bomb out of the corner for near falls. I'd say it was getting pretty fast and pretty hectic, but eventually it's Andre who's on the outside, and I believe, or is it Duke? I forget now.
No, Andre was outside, and then Tyler Bate went to dive at him, but Ridge pushed Andre out of the way and took the bullet from Tyler.
So Ridge pushes him out of the way, takes this dive from Tyler, and then Chase hits a crossbody to Bate for the 1, 2, 3. Yes, a crossbody can still win a matchup here. Your number one contenders for the tag titles, Chase U. And Pete and Tyler are pretty upset by this, but Andre, Chase, Duke, and the whole Chase U are just so happy that they've won this match. But what do you think of this tag team turmoil?
Yeah, I was a little surprised by first of all, by the teams, because I know last week me and Davey kind of predicted, maybe this is a way to bring in some teams from TNA. We're kind of like, fantasy booking ABC and the Rascals and whatnot. But no, they kept it in house, which is perfectly fine. And to have like Newcastle Republic run the gauntlet pretty much until the very end, it was very I think it's just continue the whole Chase U storyline that we'll get into later on this show. But I feel like they're putting the rocket on Chase U. When he did the Hurricanrana in the corner, Duke Booker kept calling it childhood dream, and Vic is like, what are you on about? And he's like, that's what he told me to call it. And he starts calling Duke like the president of Chase U. He was really like loving Duke in this match. But yeah, the match was really good. It was a really, really good way to start the show. And you keep Newcastle Republic strong, obviously, by going the distance here. But the story is Chase U, right? The story is what's going on with Chase U, and are they going to do whatever it takes to get these titles back for the second time?
Yes. So it is official that it's Chase U, Duke and Andre versus Nathan Frazer and Axiom at Heatwave, which I think could be a pretty good match. I kind of thought it would be Tyler and Pete, just to kind of give it some sort of NXT UK thunder or something. But yeah, this match can be pretty good, and it might lead to the dissension of Chase U. We will see. We've been saying that since the beginning of Chase U, but it could happen. I thought this match was pretty good too. Like each team came in and hit their spots. I'd say the only critique is, when does anyone ever not kick out of a crossbody? Like the last time someone didn't kick out of a crossbody, it was probably Ricky Steamboat. So like that was like, oh, okay. Like he could have rolled him up, but he was just so shocked at this crossbody. But other than that, I actually thought it was a pretty good match too. So
yep,
yeah. We see earlier today, all these people in the back, these women are watching on an iPad of Lola and Roxanne from last week, and Carmen is there, and she says like, oh, actually, like I know Lola and me had our little beef, but I have to give her credit where credit's due. Like she's really stepped up. And Roxanne comes in and she's kind of mad that Carmen is saying this and kind of gets in her face, which sets up a match that we'll get to in a little bit, Carmen v. Roxanne. But even some of these people you couldn't name, Siino.
If I took another look at them, I possibly would. But this is like one of two segments on this show that I'm like, they're really trying to like hit us over the head that this person's a baby face. So when you have Carmen out there saying, I respect Lola all of a sudden, she's on top of her game. You're like, okay, a baby face is talking about another woman, so she's a baby face, as a result. So, and yeah, it's a good way to kind of put Carmen on TV. Unfortunately, it looks like she won't be performing in front of her hometown of Toronto, but it looks of it. But yeah, the fact that she's getting a matchup with the current champion is a big thing for her.
Yeah, we get a moment here from Vic and Book who throw to the image of Sika. Yeah. So basically saying like, hey, he's passed away, and they again reference the Bloodline Smackdown thing. So I would imagine there's a big celebration for Sika on Smackdown. We see Dante and Nathan Frazer backstage, Dante Chen and Frazer, and he's like, hey, I'll be in your corner tonight for this Heritage Cup. And he goes, oh, thank you. But Axiom comes in and says, hey, even though you pulled that stunt last week, I'll still be in your corner. I'm still your partner. So yeah, last week Frazer was kind of rude and took the contract. So they're still boys.
Why is Dante starting shit though? This is like when you're like you're in a couple with someone, you're in a relationship, and you have like that friend that's like, hey, I know what's his face is maybe not treating you right. If you want to like hang out with me or need somebody to help you, that's what Dante's doing right now, right? It's like, why is he trying to start trouble with Frazer and Axiom? Like Axiom didn't seem upset about it, but Dante's definitely trying to get his way into this relationship with Frazer.
You're right. He's very like creeping in there, side chick. Like, hey,
if you need a new partner, I'm here for you. Exactly.
Yeah. We go to our next segment. Ethan Page makes his way to the ring with a very nice shirt. He's always on game with his summary shirts. He mentions that it's Heatwave next week and that the number one contender is supposed to be Javon Evans. Well, that shouldn't be. It should be me. And mentions that he's, the top guy here now since joining here, and that he was screwed out of his title, so he should be the number one contender. When Ava comes out and says basically like, oh, you think you're running things, because I think he name dropped Ava, like doing whatever Trick says. This is when Shawn Spears comes out looking like the genie from the Will Smith version of Aladdin, says, hey, if anyone should be number one contender, it should be me, because I already pinned Javon Evans a few weeks ago. So therefore, like, why is he the number one contender? And Ethan says, yeah, well, you were eliminated. And this is when Trick comes out now and says, would you sit your goofy ass down? and calls Ethan Page a bum and says, I don't care if I have to fight Javon or you or both of you. It doesn't matter because Toronto, they'll all be chanting, whoop that Trick. And then it starts to break down where they're all fighting. Javon Evans comes out and everyone gets flying everywhere. And Ava stares at the title. So we have Trick versus Shawn Spears later tonight, but it seems Ava has a few ideas for the NXT championship. But what did you think of this?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's not a good song, but Ethan Page's song is kind of growing on me. It is a little catchy. I wouldn't say it's one of the best songs.
Ego.
I'll say that. And then, Shawn Spears obviously had to bring up the fact that him and Ethan Page, they travel the same roads. They came from the same area, AEW Dark, whatever you want to call it. But
they meant Toronto's, Hamilton, Niagara, but your joke was funnier.
and Trick must have a lot of confidence to think that he's going to be cheered. We're going to later find out it's going to be a match with two Canadians, but the fact that he's so guaranteeing that he's going to get cheered in Toronto. Do you think Toronto's going to love Trick? I feel like Trick is kind of flow with the Toronto style.
Absolutely. I mean, the last time Shawn Spears probably wrestled in Toronto in that shape, I'm pretty sure he's been here on some indie shows, but the last time he was at the Scotiabank, the ACC, it was in his match against Bobby Roode with the whole 10 thing was super over at the time. And he got a crazy reaction. The match was all right, but I don't know. This already got me kind of moaning and groaning of, Shawn Spears is in the main event title picture, as we will come to learn more later on. But Ethan Page, I thought, always sounds pretty good in his promos, but kind of some of the direction it was going was kind of bumming me out, I think, of where we are with this.
How can you forget the last time that Shawn Spears wrestled in Toronto when he teamed up with FTR to take on the Embassy on an episode of Rampage at the Coca-Cola Coliseum?
That's right. I was there. And then he cut a promo basically being like, I'm back. And we were like, we
didn't know you left.
We didn't know you left anywhere. And then he's like, I'm doing the other gimmick now. And it's like, okay. And then now he's in NXT and he's the learning chair gimmick. It doesn't, man, we'll get to it. I'll get things off my chest, but I digress. We go on to seeing Chase U backstage, Ridge Holland, and he's walking and he sees Tyler and Pete, and they're a little upset because he kind of maybe cost them the match. Not really, but sort of. And they go, hey, what are you doing? And these guys got history, right? And he goes, I'm sorry that this happened, but I'm with Chase U now, and that's just the way it is. So he continues to walk off when Hank and Tank go up to Tyler and Pete and are like, hey, you guys put on quite a fight. We're a new up-and-coming tag team. We'd love to have a chance to face you. So they challenge them to a match, a friendly match next week. And even though I think it's Pete who walks off, Tyler accepts it. And, of course, Hank and Tank were wearing new shirts that, of course, are not available at WWE Shop. But gotta love the hustle of Hank and Tank, always wearing new logos of their names on shirts.
Yeah. They're trying. Every week they're trying something new. And last week they had the old Public Enemy jerseys. They're just, they're trying to throw things on the wall and see whatever sticks. Because, they haven't really found an identity, I feel like. One week they're want to be APA. And the next week they're just some scrappy tag team. They're having a little rough go, I feel like. I can't really tell you what their characters are if somebody were to ask me.
Okay, well, help me describe these next characters. Stevie Turner and Robert Stone are in front of Ava's office, and
they've been doing this for weeks now. And I guess we thought Robert Stone was some sort of assistant to Ava because he was helping her make matches, but Stevie's just been kind of hanging around there. And I thought she just wanted a title shot because she's always around whenever Roxana's around. But come to find out, they're both fighting for an opportunity to work with Ava, which I guess is something new. I guess Stevie Turner is still using her hacking gimmick because she was talking about getting the internet scoops, and Robert Stone had to call her a narc. Says you're a snitch for making false reports, I guess. Maybe throwing some shots at some journalists out there. But this is news to me that they're both trying to fight for the love of Ava, it looks like.
Yeah. So they then kind of argue back and forth, well, I'm not going to leave. Well, I'm not going to leave either. And then kind of, so going forward, they're both assistants to what used to be the assistant to the GM. Ridiculous.
Yeah, wasn't Ava was the assistant to who? Who was the GM before Ava? I don't remember who it was now at this point. Did we even have one?
Well, it's Shawn.
Oh yeah, I guess Shawn. Yeah,
but then we never see Shawn anymore. So then it was Ava as the assistant, and then they just made her GM anyways. And then now Stevie and Stone. I imagine this leads to these two being together as some sort of partnership. I don't know. I didn't necessarily. I love Stone, but I did not like these segments with these today.
I was more fascinated with the WWE 2K commercial where you could play as Post Malone. I'm like, I think I might need to jump in. At first, I'm like, is that Malachi Black? Because you see, he's got like the gym shorts and like the tats everywhere. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, it's Post Malone. So I'm interested to see what Post Malone's moveset is going to be in the game. So I'm definitely going to play as him maybe later tonight.
In the movie Roadhouse, he's in the beginning for like the first like 2 minutes, and he's like a cage fighter or something.
Ooh, okay.
So maybe he's got some like brawling moveset. But yeah, I guess Post Malone would use the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah, Stone Cold Stunner.
He would wear the Stone Cold vest on tour for a long time, so he's a big Stone Cold guy. But I don't know what other the White Iverson.
Should we send Post Malone some like post wrestling merch? I feel like
Post Malone wrestling.
I feel like he'd wear that, right?
It's funny though. You ever search Post Wrestling in your like podcast or your Spotify?
Does Post Malone come out?
It always pops up Post Malone, and I'm like,
wrestling, yeah. And now with the video game, it's probably going to pop up even more. Now you can put Post Wrestling, you're just going to see his DLC.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to try. I've only dabbled a few times with 2K at my buddy's house when it came out, and I was pretty impressed. It was the graphics, the way it played, and I know AEW is free now, and I still haven't.
Yeah, it's free, but if you want to play as Edge, you got to spend like $30 for like 1 or 2 characters. But I've been enjoying
the cope.
Yeah, the cope. Sorry, the cope. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of 2K. I've been jumping into like the story mode and whatnot. But listen to What Up Though. Me and B kind of get into some of the things you can do in that game. It's pretty impressive, honestly, how they keep advancing every year. I feel like, but those games are fun, man. And AEW unfortunately was not fun. I think I played that a total of 6 hours, maybe. I could not get into that. I'm sorry. I tried. Yeah, I paid for it full price. I could have got it for free, but I know I paid $90 it was for the special edition, and I did not play it.
I just love how Post Malone's DLC is like Post Malone and friends, and it's like him and
the Headbangers.
The Headbangers.
Those are his friends.
And Jimmy Hart, I think. It's like, oh, okay.
Sherry Martel, I think, is there. I'm like, yeah, okay, those are his friends, sure.
Nice. That would be a crazy blunt rotation.
Sensational Sherry, Mosh, Thrasher, and Post Malone. Yeah.
Wow. Holy, book it. Did you see Snoop and Brett? That's a blunt rotation.
Did you see the photo of Brett with like his face? Like he must have been trying some of that gin and juice or something. I don't know, but
he was smoking that Snoop Snoop D-O-double-G. Yeah, the picture of Bret Hart hanging out with Snoop after his concert over there in Calgary seemed pretty funny. I mean, I've heard Bret is a fan of the Devil's Lettuce.
Yeah, he talked about it on an episode of Dark Side, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he was like, I messed around with that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he was very adamant. Like, if we were allowed to smoke, more wrestlers would still be alive. Yeah, considering if it wasn't treated as such. But yeah, I imagine Bret Hart I don't think Bret could outsmoke Snoop, but he probably got him twisted.
What would the Bret Hart strain be called? The heart attack? The sharpshooter.
Heart attack. Like heart attack. No, you don't. What if it gives someone?
True.
Too much of it?
Sharpshooters. I like that. Sharpshooter keeps you focused. Yeah, I like that. Okay, sharpshooter.
Yeah, you don't want to have a bad trip and start thinking like, whoa. You know what? Maybe Goldberg wasn't the problem.
That's what Bret and Goldberg need. They just smoke together.
Just have a sesh together, bro. Everything.
All their issues.
Air out all the grievances. Lock that door. Burn one, and let's go. Yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah. We go to our next match. It is Joe Coffey hanging out with the Gallus boys ringside versus Wes Lee. Right away, Wes runs at Joe and hits him with a strike, but then the Gallus lads are trying to get involved and distract him, which then allows Joe to hit this huge clothesline early where Wes just gets flipped inside out. However, he comes back with this crazy DDT, which was scary for a second. I think even the ref thought that Coffey may have been spiked there, but the match kind of continues, which then Vic hits us with the line. He hit him harder than Justin Timberlake in the Hamptons.
Vic is on top of his pop culture this week.
Yes, free JT.
You think he knows all this stuff, or you think it's Mackenzie that's like sending him like, "Hey, make sure you say this"?
No, Vic is pretty. Vic seems like he knows what's going on.
Gotcha. Good.
Yeah. Like anytime Vic posts social media, he's always got some fly kicks on. So I know he's got his ducks in order there. But continuing here, there's a pretty nice looking pop up into like a power slam from Joe for a near fall. And then he goes for best of the bells, which is like that spin around lariat, but it's countered. And then Wes hits the ropes, backflips, and hits the cardiac kick on the button. I thought here looked good, and pins Joe Coffey. And commentary are mentioning that, he's trying to move away from the Gallus guys, but he's looking ahead to the North American Championship. And that's when Obafemi on the perch has a mic and the title and says, I see you stepped up and you really want this match against me. You heard my terms. If you face me for the title, if you lose, you can never face me for this title while I'm champ. But I grant you that match, and I will see you at Heatwave. So yes, that match is now official too. Wes versus Oba for the North American title. But any thoughts on this pretty quick match?
Yeah, so it looks like you said, they're just gonna end this storyline, because I know there was a lot of like rumblings or maybe like hope that the Rascals can be brought in. They do like a 6-man match at Heatwave, but I had totally forgot that they kind of set up Wes and Oba last week, but they never made it official. So I'm like, I guess they could do that on TV and maybe still do the 6-man. So when they first announced this match, I'm like, okay, this is a good way for Gallus to attack Wes Lee, and then we see the Radicals, the Rascals make their debut here. But once I saw how quick it was, he won like a little over 3 minutes. Like that seems like the storyline's done, and like you said, it goes right to Oba and they go right into that match. So yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the Rascals, if they're still maybe put it on the back burner till they get this match out of the way, but I feel like they teased it too much, right? You had like Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz put out tweets saying, give us a call, and now it looks like they're not really doing that. So I'm not sure what's going on with the Rascals. Maybe the timing isn't correct right now.
Yeah, maybe something's not happening. I feel like there wasn't any mention of TNA on this show whatsoever, really, especially shocking considering all the social media buzz with Joe Hendry.
I think in the beginning, I think when Ava was talking to security and referees, I think she had mentioned like, oh, we have Raw, SmackDown, right, TNA, but other than that, there wasn't really any mention. But there has been a lot of tease. I know Joe Hendry put up something about, oh, it's hot outside, it feels like a heat wave. So I feel like we probably will see Joe Hendry possibly show up in Toronto.
Should.
Yeah,
he should. He's
huge
so
reaction.
Popular right now. There's memes of him at the Game 7 of the NHL playoffs. It's like he's taken over, and he's been tweeting about like how his videos of the
breaking all types of records. Yeah, it's crazy.
So good for him, man. He's hilarious, and people are digging up his older funny stuff as well. So all the power, and I kind of think they need to capitalize on that and definitely have him part of Heatwave, whether it's a spot, a match. I'm not quite sure. There might not be room for a match at this point. There's 5 matches announced so far. So
yeah.
But he should be involved. They need to kind of keep that momentum going.
So one thing that Henry's like popular for is obviously his parody videos. If there was one person that you could like, let's just say you have time for like 10 minutes to do a segment with somebody in the ring, who would you do? Who would you pair him up with to do like some sort of like joke video or something? I can't really think of anybody on NXT right now that's not already wrestling.
Lexus King.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Just shit on his facial hair, his barber, his everything.
I like that. I actually like that a lot. That would work. Yep.
Yeah. Book it. Joe Hendry, Lexus King. We go backstage and we see Tony D and the family. They're getting ready. He's got a Heritage Cup defense. And he says, he's being interviewed and he's asked, are you worried? He says, I'm not worried. I'm only worried about the after party, where it's going to be tonight. He says, I'm kidding. I know that these guys are fast and Frazer is very fast, but I got Stacks and Ruca who put me through a game plan and I know it's going to work. And my game plan is I'm going to punch him in the mouth and see how he responds. So that match coming up.
Yeah, Tony D being a typical Italian, whenever you go to like a baby shower or a wedding, you're always thinking about the party after. Like, where are we going to go after? Like, even though nothing's planned, they're going to plan something to do after with the boys because you already got the family all together. What are we doing after this baby shower? Let's do something. And that's exactly what Tony was thinking about.
I was at an Italian baby shower this weekend. An Italian Jamaican baby shower. I was in fact invited to the cookout.
That sounds amazing. The food must have been amazing. Would you have like
you got jerk and then you had the lasagna. It was fire. It was pretty fire.
Oh, okay. That sounds amazing. Like best of both worlds right there.
I don't want to get too personal, but my friends are naming their son baby due in a month or so now, named Carmelo.
Ooh.
And in the card I wrote, congratulations, Mello don't miss.
Perfect.
They don't understand it, but they'll be like, yo, that's a good one. We need that. They'll think I'm so clever. Mello don't miss. Yeah, I'm a nerd. So Tony D, that's happening next. But before that match, when we come back from break, Duke and Chase U, they're all hyped about winning. Well, Duke, maybe not so much. Chase is excited. Thea is going nuts, and they're saying they're gonna bring back glory to Chase U, and they're gonna win those tag titles. And Chase says, Toronto is a beautiful city, very beautiful city.
So right before this, so I don't know if you saw what happened last week, but basically, Ridge helped Duke win the match by cheating. He held his feet down, but Duke wasn't aware of that. So I guess he had just received photos proving this, and he was about to like look at them, and that's when Ridge kind of stopped him, and the rest of Chase U came in. So the story here is that Duke has proof that Ridge cheated, but he doesn't know it just yet.
I mean, anyone could be like, yeah, didn't you watch the show?
Well, even the way it was filmed, though, like there is like I think me and Dave were talking about, like even the way it was like shot, like we weren't even sure what happened, but we could only assume that Ridge like helped him win by cheating. So even we weren't aware. Maybe there's a different angle that is going to prove it. Maybe prove us all wrong.
So something fishy is going to happen with Chase U at Heatwave.
Yep.
Chase U implodes. What could happen? We go to the Heritage Cup match. The champ, the cup owner, Tony D'Angelo, putting it on the line against Nathan Frazer. We start off with round 1 here. We get this crazy back and forth, like trying to grapple each other, where there's like almost like a side German roll into a pinning attempt. And I think it's either he said 14 or 40, but it felt like 14 seconds in, where Frazer pins Tony D to the mat, giving him the first point early, winning the first round. And Tony D in his corner is flabbergasted. He's shocked that this happened. So they start off round 2, and now Tony's on the strong, aggressive offense. And about a minute into this, hits a huge spine buster. I think Vic says Ron Simmons would be proud, and pins Frazer here. So now it's 1-1 as we go into round 3. So kind of different from what we usually see in these rounds matches, like already kind of going a bit faster, a bit creative. But round 3, this is more of a basic wrestling where there's go back and forth, where Frazer eventually goes for a tope, but gets caught and then thrown to the steps. When we come back, it's round 4, and Frazer does hit a tope finally, and then a flying cross body that's countered into different roll-ups, and then another spine buster, but this time Frazer kicks out as we go into round 4 now. Or was that round 4? I'm getting confused. Round 4 ends and it's still tied. And then round 5, Frazer hits this like super kick, but Tony gets out of it. And then there's a huge spine buster again from Tony, but then he can't capitalize. Eventually gets thrown into the steps. He beats the 9 count, but then gets like a coast to coast drop kick, but also kicks out. And then Frazer hits the Phoenix Splash, but the time runs out before he can capitalize and pin him. So it's still tied. And then we go into round 6, which for a second there, I was like, isn't there only 5? But I guess because it's tied. Me and these rounds matches.
No, it's always been 6 rounds, but they tend to not go the distance. They usually like stop at 5.
Going deep in the 6 here. Deep 6, round 6. We get a series of roll-up attempts. And then what is this move Goldust does? It's like this suplex into the cutter. What did he call this? Not the cutter, but like
final cut.
Final cut. Oh, yeah. Man, I love this move. Frazer hits it on Tony here for a near fall and then goes for the Phoenix Splash again, but Tony gets up. So he lands on his feet and then gets like this huge overhead belly off the top and then a huge spine buster. This was a Ron Simmons-esque spine buster here as he crushes Frazer and pins him to retain the Heritage Cup. And Frazer's a little beat up by this, but you know what? I thought this was pretty good, especially that last spine buster and the finish of the final fall. But I thought these two worked really well together.
No, absolutely. I love how like the first 2 falls were done like right away within the first like minutes of both first rounds, and then like rounds 3 and 4, they went the distance, and then round 5, the timing was a little off because I feel like Frazer went to the top rope a little too early because he had to kind of stall for like 20 seconds before hitting the Phoenix Splash to kind of make the time run out. But then he came back, hit that crazy spinning neck breaker. And then that belly-to-belly suplex from the top rope and that spine buster, like that was ridiculous from Tony D'Angelo. Continues to impress me here. And I do like the idea, they kind of put the thought in our head that like Frazer could have won the title by countout technically, because all you have to do is win 2 falls, right? So when Tony was on the outside, he could have gotten counted out, and then Frazer would have just won the cup by default. So I like that they put that idea in our head, and I wouldn't mind seeing like a heel kind of winning that way in the future as a way to kind of like cheat in a way to win by nefarious means by having somebody kind of hold their leg on the outside. But I do like the idea that they put that in your head that they could switch the title by countout if they really wanted to.
And they've been pushing Frazer wants to have other gold at the same time, like simultaneously with his tag titles, and they're kind of teasing breakups. But I'd say wrestling wise, this was probably the match of the show for this show, because I thought it was some good stuff, but definitely the spine buster was good. So I'm not sure where do we go next with the Heritage Cup. It seems more of a TV kind of title anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously, as we'll get into it, they're kind of reinforcing the NQCC, the no quarter cash crew, right? So maybe they're going to start going after it again with some new members here. And we predicted it last time, but we haven't seen, the Marinara in the cup, the Heritage Cup. I feel like
got a drink out of it.
Yeah, like if he brings it to Toronto, what's he going to put there? Poutine? You're going to have poutine in the Heritage Cup?
Well, just think if the Edmonton Oilers actually won the Stanley Cup, they'd be drinking great Canadian beer out of it, but instead it's down in Florida where they're probably drinking Four Loko out of it or something. So
you know what I would love to see, and I doubt there's room on the card for it, but if you have Tony D'Angelo come out of Heatwave and kind of do like an open challenge for the Heritage Cup, and you have Josh Alexander come out in a Heritage Cup, that would be freaking sick. But I don't know if that's something I think they actually do on the show, but I can see that on a future episode of NXT if they're going to start bringing down TNA guys for the Heritage Cup. I feel like Josh Alexander is the first name that pops up for me.
Yeah, possibly. But yeah, okay match here between these guys, and I'm not usually into the Heritage Cup stuff, but it showcases the wrestlers in it, and they did a good job. We go backstage. NXT champ Trick Williams is with Javon Evans. Well, Javon comes to talk to him wearing a very cool Mike Tyson
shirt. Yeah, one of those like retro shirts. I dig that. Him, and then later on, I think you saw like Jada Parker was wearing like a Junior Mafia shirt or something. I'm like, I don't know where they're finding these shirts, but this is some OG shit right here.
It's okay to wear a Junior Mafia, but maybe not okay to wear the Bad Boy.
Yeah, no more Bad Boy, Bad Boy logos. But Junior Mafia,
unfortunately, Bad Boys are not for life. I guess. Yeah. But here's the Mike Tyson shirt, and Javon says, "Hey, I noticed, you're facing Shawn Spears, and he's a bit of a. I'm just gonna say he's a bit of a prick, and I'll be in your corner if you got, I got you, and I'm ready to throw hands." And Trick says, "Hey, respectfully, like I got this. Don't worry. I'm gonna do this on my own. So don't worry. I'm gonna lock in." It's like, all right, cool, respect it.
Yeah, Javon kind of like. He looked like he was a little upset. Like he kind of like they kind of lingered the camera on him a little bit. He seemed like he was a little maybe like offended or whatnot. But Trick's not lying. He said you gotta get ready for me, man. You gotta focus on that. Don't focus on trying to help me. Focus on helping yourself. So I do like how Trick kind of had like the same ideas that Carmelo had for him. It's pretty much like the roles are reversed now. It's like now you have this young up and coming guy in Javon Evans, just like Trick was in that role when he was with Carmelo. And I like how he's kind of like giving knowledge and advice to Javon now as he's a champion.
Very, very similar. Got the same vibes. We get a commercial for we're getting the release of the WrestleMania XL documentary on YouTube next Wednesday. I think it's 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So definitely going to check that out, as we were both there and had a great time at WrestleMania, and interested to see, because already some of the clips very like behind the scenes, Roman talking out of character and like all these people. So
yeah, I feel like because we obviously saw the trailer for this when we were at WrestleMania, and like they're going to premiere it that Wednesday or whatever it was, but they've delayed it like 3 months now. And I feel like maybe the original story going into this was, The Rock and like, I don't know. I feel like they kind of changed the narrative a little bit to kind of make The Rock seem a little bit more in favor of changing everything and whatnot. But I feel like there was a lot of editing, and obviously it took a long time for them to change it. But I am looking forward to this. And I don't know how long is it going to go into the 8 o'clock hour and kind of like take some shine away from AEW? Like,
will it get more ratings than AEW?
I mean,
is there another Kendrick Lamar concert going on somewhere?
No Kendrick Lamar. Big Bang Theory is back. Yeah, all that stuff.
Oh God. I mean, sidebar here. The Kendrick Not Like Us concert, Amazon Prime, was pretty fire.
I was so mad. If anybody knows, I do the reports every week for Post Wrestling for Dynamite. I was so upset that I was watching Dynamite. I'm like, I really want to watch this pop. And as soon as the show was over, I went back and tried to avoid as many spoilers as I can. But that was a great show. I'm really jealous that I wasn't there. But it's a great show to watch.
Yeah,
it felt like a wrestling show, right? You had the pyro, you had the
it was like a Royal Rumble.
The camera cuts from Kevin Dunn. It was really Royal Rumble. Surprise guest appearances. Yeah, it definitely felt like, and it was in the forum where they've had Dynamite before, because I recognize the Kia forum on the ledges there. I'm like, oh, this is where they do Dynamite. So yeah, that was a great show. It
was like a wrestling show, because it's like, and then out come Black Hippie, and you're like, whoa, his former tag team partners, they're here. And then it's like NXT. It's like, whoa, the Weeknd's in the front row. Holy.
Yeah.
LeBron's there, not knowing the lyrics to everything. Whoa, what's going on?
Was he caught on camera like not knowing the lyrics?
He's always caught, like, whenever he used to record himself in like training rapping, he doesn't know any lyrics, and then so people are just trolling him like he probably doesn't know any of the lyrics.
Yeah.
but yeah, pretty sweet concert. But I don't know if it necessarily totally affected the AEW numbers. Maybe it's that Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
But anyways, I forget where we were, but we go to our next match. Roxanne Perez, the NXT Women's Champ, taking on Carmen Petrovic here. We saw their little spat earlier. So out comes these two, but right before the match can start, Lola Vice music hits, and out comes Lola And of course, she makes her way to the commentary desk dancing. And she goes over and says, "How you doing?" And is it Booker who says, No. How you doing, Lola?
This entire like segment with Booker T, like, first of all, he's still upset from last week to Vic because what happened? Trick Williams texted Vic about showing up for commentary, and Booker got so upset the entire night. He was like, "You're a snitch. I don't trust you," to Vic. And he's doing it this week as well. He's still upset. I don't know why he's calling him a snitch. I don't know what being a snitch has to do with talking to Trick, but whatever. But yeah, as soon as Lola was there, he was like, Don't shake his hand. He's a snitch. He's a snitch. But my favorite line of this entire commentary was in Roxanne. Not Roxanne. I'm sorry. Lola was speaking Spanish, and one of the things was like "cállate la boca," which means, shut your mouth. And Booker's like, "Oh yeah." What does that mean? Like, he had no idea what it meant, but he was so happy that she said it. And she, like, you could tell she just like started laughing. She's like, "It means shut your mouth." And she was, but yeah, Booker was on one, as you guys say every week.
Yes. Booker, in fact, was on one. I love the shucky ducky quack quack
the sign
in the crowd as well. So Carmen v. Roxanne here, and I guess Roxanne a little thrown that Lola is ringside. Carmen gets a spot in the corner where she kicks Roxanne in the face. I don't know if she actually connected there, but got her good. This pisses off Roxy, who comes out and just starts like beating down on her, like doing the aggressive like lefts and rights on top. She's like throwing a tantrum essentially. She eventually hits her Russian leg sweep, which I don't know if it's better or worse than Andre Chase's, but both very good Russian leg sweeps. Eventually, she starts pulling on the hair of Carmen here, which the ref, Ava told you to be on it tonight, and you weren't really on it. So the hair is being pulled, and then eventually Carmen comes back. There's a kick out the corner, and then the Natty by Nature, the spinning lariat, shout out Natty, for a near fall. But eventually, it's a side kick from Roxanne, and then the pop rocks, and Carmen can go kick rocks because Roxanne puts her away pretty quickly here. But the story comes after the match where Lola gets in the ring and Roxanne and her are face to face. And Roxanne tries to go for what I think was Lola's finishing move, the spinning back.
Yeah, she did it last week, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. She did it to Lola, knocked her out. So she was trying to do it again this week. But oh boy, she got blocked and she got a receipt.
Yes, Lola counters this and hits her own. They're calling it the 305, the spinning back fist, and nails her here. And then grabs the women's title, holds it up, starts dancing with it, leaves dancing with the title, and walks off with Roxanne's title.
Yeah, this backspin was like vicious. This is something you see better than what you see on Power Slap. By the way, have you seen which former AEW alumni is going to be doing Power Slap?
Yeah, how the mighty have fallen, or bless them. But Paige Van Zant.
Yeah, I mean, she signed with AEW. She never wrestled. I think she wrestled one match. She collected that paycheck, and now she's collecting that Power Slap paycheck. But yeah, I'm not sure if we're going to see as vicious backspins fists as Lola here. But I won't be watching. I won't be watching Power Slap. No.
Wait. Now you can pay to see Paige Van Zant get slapped in the face?
I guess so. Yeah.
There's got to be a market for that somewhere.
Oh yeah, so. I'm sure. Yeah. She'll have plenty of her fans watching that.
Yes.
Only her fans.
Only Paige Levant. Paige Levant. Wait, who am I talking?
Paige Van Zant. PVZ.
Paige Van Zant.
There we go.
Right. Big fan. Paige. I love spinning back fists. I didn't love Carmen and Roxanne here. This match, I thought it could be a little bit better. I think Carmen's been like improving and getting better, but this is the champ, so I was expecting something. I guess it was to make light work of this character and promote going forward with Lola. So I get it, but I still see something in Carmen, but this one definitely didn't hit for me. But we'll get back to the Lola and Roxanne thing in a little bit. We cut to Noam Dar on FaceTime with the Metaphor, and he's saying he's sad that he's not there, but thanks to the attacks, he's actually injured, and says that his knee is injured and the tendon has been ripped off the leg, and he's going to be away for way longer than he anticipated for. So it's up to the main man, Ora Mensa, to take over the Meta-4 while he's gone. So I guess they're the Meta-3. And this is where the segment starts with a FaceTime call to Noam Dar, which I can't usually understand Noam Dar, but now when you're recording him on FaceTime
through Wi-Fi,
and I'm like, I don't know what you said, but you said something about your leg and tendon. And then it cuts into Ora Mensa basically having a therapy session here and starts mentioning that his dad years ago almost died in a fire. He had to burst through the fire to survive, and it injured him badly. They had to move to Switzerland for therapy, and mom was in Nigeria, and his life, he's been through some crazy hardships. but mentions that he's never been more happier in this family that he's found in the metaphor. And they all hug and embrace. And he's like, all right, but back to business. I need to beat the shit out of Ethan Page. But yeah, serious. This one came out of nowhere. Yeah. And then it cut to Booker T, and he's cutting onions. He's crying.
Yeah, because I know like Oro had mentioned like they had to put him in foster care because of what was going on with his parents. And I feel like Booker, I know he had a troubled childhood. I feel like he might have been in foster care as well. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect on that. But he was definitely like emotionally, Vic was trying to get something out of him, and he was just like, he couldn't like look at a camera. So it definitely got him. I don't think he expected it, just like we didn't expect it. But it's a hell of a week for wrestling stories. You got Bo Dallas talking about Bray. You got Oro talking about his father. You had Jeff Jarrett doing like the promo of a lifetime, talking about the Owen Hart tournament. Yeah, they're really getting in our feels. But as soon as this was done, they're like, Oro, you're beautiful. Metaphor is beautiful. Braden, you're beautiful. I just want to say that you're beautiful. So
you're beautiful.
Yeah,
you're all beautiful.
This was like what I was saying earlier about like hitting us over the head with somebody's a baby face now. Yeah, this is now, there's no way that Oro's a heel anymore. He's one of the biggest baby faces in the world now. And it feels like, maybe Noam is legit hurt. I guess that's why that storyline with him and Trick kind of dropped out of nowhere. Yeah. So it looks like they're putting the rocket on Oro Mensah here. And after this promo, like I feel like I see nothing but success for him, hopefully. So.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I thought he actually delivered it pretty well. It just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere because it started with the silly FaceTime thing, right? So I was like, oh, and like with everything else going on, I don't know if they're going to add. Oh, I guess Ethan Page is already tied up for this.
Yeah, I mean, they have to do that match. They're still keeping it going between him and Ethan, but I don't know.
Kayfabe-wise, it should be Aura in the 4-way.
Well, he's gonna show up, right? Because there's no disqualification in 4-way, so you're definitely gonna get that spot. That might be the way to kind of take Ethan out of the match, maybe by having Oro come out and do something with him. But I feel like that story's still going. You still have to get that match between them two.
But yeah, babyface turn for the metaphor going forward, and Mensah's been good in some of the matches and stuff he's highlighted. So maybe this is a way he can step up and take the place of Noam. But you got to feel for Noam if this is legit. Like he had an injury similar and stuff. So I hope he's all right and can come back and stuff, because he was hitting a stride too that maybe could get to the next level. So all the best there to Dar. We then see the OC who attack OTM because they're mad that they were standing there watching their match, I guess. And this big brawl happens where then Michin is there and Jada, and it all turns into a big brawl. And yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Spoilers, it's a match next week. We get a great shot of the city of Toronto. We hear, is this Nav? Tap?
Yeah, Nav is, that's a theme for this year.
Nav, straight out of Toronto or Rexdale.
Ontario. Oh, I didn't realize he was a local guy. Okay, so awesome. Oh, yes. He got the Money in the Bank spot. Nice. I mean, he's Toronto spot, yeah.
EXO affiliated. But he was a producer before he kind of did some of the rap stuff. But he's pretty big here, I'd say, like not as big as The Weeknd, but still, and it's interesting and crazy to see him affiliated with WWE and stuff because he's been doing this stuff for a while. So shout out Rexdale. We've had some Rexdale listeners pop up in the chat before, actually. So Rexdale, stand up. I was just in Rexdale the other week, actually. So there you go. Shout out Rexdale. But in this shot of Toronto, you also saw my apartment. I love when they show the skyline because I'm like, oh, look, I can see my room right there. Good stuff. So you'll be staying there soon, Siino.
There we go. I'll put my head out the window. Hopefully they can catch me on the broadcast.
Yeah. Like how you're in the Thunderdome?
Yes, forever. Now, what's the WWE now forever? Whatever. Yeah. That.
Yeah, you are in there forever because you signed your soul to the Thunderdome. Get those royalty checks. We see Ava backstage and she's talking to, now who are these two people again?
Carly Bright and Kendall Gray. I feel like whenever I'm doing one of these shows, these two girls always show up, and I have to tell you who's who. But yes, Carly Bright and Kendall Gray. Bright Gray here, as they had a little. Yeah, Wendy Chu had a little scuffle with them last week, and they go ahead and make the match for next week between Wendy Chu and Carly Bright.
Yeah, am I the only one holding out that Wendy Chu would be the 6th in the Wyatt Sicks? She just missed her alarm, so she didn't get there in time.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. They say I don't know which one, but one of them is going to go one-on-one with Wendy next week. So,
Carly Bright. Yeah, it's going to be Carly Bright against Wendy Chu.
So they're not sisters, but they kind of look like sisters.
They kind of look like sisters, but then they totally wrestle different. One's a cheerleader and one's an amateur wrestler. So that's the whole gimmick. One is, total opposites, but look exactly the same.
Lola Vice walks in, gives Ava the title, and says, hey, when your champ wakes up, tell her I want a match. I thought that was a pretty badass line. And Ava's a little like, oh, okay. We go to our next match, though.
Ava was busy tonight, huh? She was making matches left and right, so.
So busy. Where was Stevie Turner and Robert Stone though?
I don't know. That's
out?
why she needs assistance.
Yeah. Next match, Tavion Heights versus Damon Kemp. And if Tavion wins, he gets to join the, let me get it right, NQCC.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah. So we get a little like tail of the tape for Tavion, and they mention he's like this college freestyle wrestler, and he got gold medal in the Pan Am Games in 2020. So very impressive there from this Tavion. What we've seen so far, pretty good. Right early on in this match, he hits a shoulder breaker, as I think Vic Joseph shouts out Papa Shango-esque.
That was his finish. I used to love hitting that move back in WWE RAW for the Sega Genesis. Just hit the old shoulder breaker over and over again. That was Papa's move. I'm a godfather of sorts, and I'm a good father, and I'm a fan of Papa Shango. However, shout out another wrestler, a legendary wrestler, Hall of Fame worthy wrestler, to be honest. Put him in the Hall of Fame. It's reminded me of Heidenreich. Ooh, okay.
Also using the shoulder breaker. Kemp sells this very painful shoulder breaker. He rolls out and he tells Charlie, like, look, I think he popped my shoulder out. So Charlie pops it back in, so to speak. So the match continues. Eventually back in the ring, Kemp hits this huge German on Heights. He can sell this because he's doing the same thing. And then an angle slam as well. So all the belly to bellies and Germans. However, finally, Tavion comes back with a huge belly to belly overhead, throwing Kemp, and then another one like the Ken Shamrock style, like real belly to belly here, where he side slams him and pins Kemp pretty quickly here. Therefore, Tavion has joined the NQCC as they kind of stand in the ring, and Kemp is like,
but they kind of started there last week with Kemp kind of like being a little jealous because like Charlie Dempsey was going through all his accolades, and it's literally all the same stuff that Kemp has done because they're both amateur wrestlers and whatnot. So I feel like they're gonna lead into that more, like Dempsey kind of like favoring Tavion Heights while Kemp is getting kind of pushed to the background, right? But yeah, the match was quick. It barely went 3 minutes here. But yeah, obviously the right person won here to kind of continue the story with Tavion Heights. But yeah, they got a lot in 3 minutes. Kind of reminds me, we'll talk about WWE Speed again later on in the show, but like a lot of these speed matches are literally like nonstop action for 3 minutes, and this felt just like that, and the right person won. But yeah, I highly enjoyed this, and I wouldn't mind them kind of maybe going to round 2 in the future, and I feel like we might get that.
Yeah, they could be a team that fights each other and stuff. But Tavion is someone to watch too. Like his suplexes are crazy, and we've only seen glimpses of him, but this is like the start of something potentially happening with him and the character. So I'd like to see more because yeah, he's definitely someone to watch. We get a interview backstage. Kalani Jordan being interviewed. She says that she originally thought she was facing Sol Ruca, then Arianna stepped in her face, so they're gonna have a match, and it doesn't matter who wins, I'm going to have to face them at Heatwave because I'm a fighting champion. It doesn't matter. Now, Sol, we're friends and she's chill, but Arianna's the opposite. She's the opposite of that. So it doesn't matter who I face. I'll beat them. And then she walks off, and then Jada Parker interrupts and kind of looks at the camera, yelling and angry. And she's mad at the Good Brothers, the OC. And she says that next week it's going to be a street fight, buddy. So I think it's Jada versus Michin in a street fight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Number one, Kalani, I think, and you guys have talked about this, she's really drastically improved on the mic. And just this little segment here where she's being interviewed by Kelly Kincaid, she has a lot of confidence. She seems really, confident with how she's talking and what she's saying. So she's definitely stepped up in that department. And same thing with Jada. Jada, I feel like it has naturally had like that charisma whenever she talks. So kind of hear them back to back is like, you can tell these are two of probably the best, not the best talkers, but the ones that have shown the most like progress in the shortest amount of time between Kalani and Jada here. And I'm actually looking forward to this street fight. I feel like it might be fun to have like a established veteran like a Michin kind of fighting over there with Jada Parker in a street fight. I think that might be a lot of fun next week. Yeah,
definitely. Like it can help Jada get some street cred from a street fight next week. Even though Jada's character is that she's from the streets, but you know what I mean. Yeah, because Michin knows how to use weapons. We've definitely seen her that.
I think she's from the streets as well. I feel like the way she kind of comes off. So I think it might be a pretty violent fight.
Head baddie in charge. We get a commercial. Now I was using a different feed, so I was actually using an American feed.
Okay.
And I got a commercial. We have a Papa John's in Toronto, like literally one, and it's kind of scuzzy and not really that nice. However, I've never seen this before, and I'm a little tempted. I'm not asking you to bring me one, Siino, but Papa John's cheeseburger pizza with pickles on it.
Okay, so I have had cheeseburger pizzas in the past, but like from authentic like New York style pizzerias, and they are really good.
Yeah,
I can't say Papa John's is going to be good. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to try it. I feel like ever since Papa John got canceled, like the Papa John's have been shutting down left and right here. So I don't know if I have the opportunity to try it. But if you ever come down to New York City, we'll get you a real cheeseburger pizza.
Because like I'll put pickles on anything, but I don't know if I want them like on the pizza. But yeah, I like pineapple on pizza.
That's a weird, that's a weird thing. I could see like peppers possibly with a cheeseburger, but like pickles, that is a little weird. But I guess you're trying to make it taste like an actual like cheeseburger, right? So I guess
yeah. I've had it before, but they put like it was supposed to be like the Big Mac burger, so they put them like they cooked the pizza and then put the stuff on afterwards. That was like the green stuff, like lettuce and stuff. It was kind of weird, but
gotcha.
Yeah, pickled pizza. We see Idris and Malik backstage with Brinley Reese. She's very hyped up and kind of saying, don't worry, you lost and all this stuff, what they've been doing. And they're kind of down on their luck. When Izzy Dame shows up and starts just running her down, saying like, you know, they don't actually like you anymore because you're just bringing them down. And she says that you got Delulu vibes. I love that. Delulu vibes. I saw Ava tweet this as well earlier. Delulu, meaning you're delusional.
Oh, okay. I was like, Lulu. I'm like, is that somebody I don't know about? Is that another Hawk Twa situation that I need to find out about? To Lulu.
And Brinley, after she walks off, Brinley's like, you guys don't have a problem with me, right? And they're like, no. But they kind of
I did notice on her way out, Izzy did call them NARPs. I'm not sure if you heard me explain to Davey last week what NARPs means, but it is non-athletic regular people. So Izzy's really running with this NARPs thing. So are you a NARP? I think we're all NARPs, right? All wrestling fans are non-athletic regular people.
Yeah, I'm a wrestling podcaster. Definitely a NARP.
We're all NARPs.
We get a little backstage segment with Frazer and Axiom, and Frazer's icing up, and he's like, oh, I thought I had him. And Axiom's like, don't worry about everything. And like, at least we're still tag champs, and going forward, we have a match this next week. So let's focus on that. So they kind of were teasing. They still could, like how Frazer's kind of being a dick and looking out for himself against Axiom. And then Frazer mentions, actually, I also have a speed championship match this week. So I'm looking forward to that. So his head is not in the game. And like, as a poet once said, you gotta get your head in the game. And I don't think Frazer is.
I hate to break your heart, Axiom. If you're listening to this, you might want to turn away or whatnot. But this match that Frazer was talking about on Speed was actually taped this past Friday. So he's lying to you, buddy. He's not getting ready for a match. The match already happened. So, yeah, Axiom, you might want to be careful with who you associate yourself with, because Frazer's he's been lying a little bit. He's looking out for himself a little too much, and now he's lying on top of it. He has bad intentions, I feel like, unfortunately.
He's the fastest wrestler in WWE, which means he's also fast at lying.
Oof.
Axiom, better watch out. We go to our next match. The winner gets to face Kalani at Heatwave for the North American Championship. Sol Ruca taking on Arianna Grace. I know Sol Ruca, I think, put out videos where she mentions her making her own gear and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm just realizing that her character is so chill that she wrestles in vans.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Like, nice. I'm not talking like the car vans, the car, like the shoes.
Yeah. I mean, they're like vans are like what, surfer shoes. So I guess it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone knows like a million different girls that rock this exact black and white Vans pair. Yep. So I can't believe she's wrestling in them too. Yeah. She
might want to, maybe with some of the spots that we saw in this match, she might want to think about maybe getting wrestling boots, because we love her Soul Snatcher, but we know it was going to come to a time where she was going to mess at the spot, and it was tonight, unfortunately. But I have to say, she did recover pretty well. Anybody else could have just like threw their hands in the air, but yeah, as you'll get into it, there was some unfortunate spots here.
Yeah, early on, she hits this like flippy counter to Arianna where she hits her with the X Factor, and then she surfboards on her as well. I do love this. It reminds me kind of the Jericho pin, but she's just riding him. It's very Jushin Liger here, but she should turn it into a move where she like then leg drops you or something. Yeah. Because if you put it into 2K, it's just a taunt, right? But if you add a move to it, it could be something nice. But workshopping here, I think it was still pretty funny. Eventually, though, Ruca gets her leg swept on the apron, and that starts selling where Arianna is beating down on her. Eventually, though, there's a pop-up knee lift from Grace for a 2 count. But this is where Soul comes back and goes for the Soul Snatcher, and it looks like she slips up on something. And then goes for the Soul Snatcher. I don't know if she was going for the Soul Snatcher the first time, but goes for it goes for something and slips up, and then goes for the Soul Snatcher, and that slipped up. So like you said, the first time kind of seeing this move not really play out. But then it was basically her hitting like a few like kicks to the gut or something, which then sets up Arianna again, and this time hits the Soul Snatcher. And for the 1-2-3, Sol Ruca wins and is facing Kalani at Heatwave. But yeah, a little unfortunate with the slip ups here, but you said it, like this was bound to happen. This move is pretty, it seems complex. I don't even understand how she does this move half the time. So I'm not going to hate down on her for slipping it up. And because you're right, she picked it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, when they first announced like the initial match between Kalani and Sol Ruca, I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's a really good match. But when they started involving Arianna, I'm like, okay, there's a high chance that Arianna actually might win this because she's from Toronto, have a wrestle in her hometown, and later on you can do Kalani and Ruca. But no, the Ruca's gonna win here. I do feel like she was going for the Soul Snatcher at the end because the fact that she had to like kind of stall a little bit and then go for it again, like that was obviously the finish, and she probably doesn't have any other way to finish a match, honestly. So she had to kind of do that. But yeah, it was unfortunate, but it's gonna happen. You know,
she just has to hit the like RKO if anything.
Yeah,
like if all fails, just hit the cutter and win the Soul Cutter or something. But yeah, that match should be good. Kalani and then so Kalani comes out and then raises Soul's hand, and she's very smiley. And earlier she mentions she's friends, so I don't know how crazy it is to maybe think that they're turning Kalani heel.
Hey, I threw this idea out last week, and Davey shut me down. Like, no, there's no way that Kalani's going to turn heel. But I feel like NXT, like, they're doing it with Roxanne right now, right? You're testing out how somebody could be as a babyface and as a heel. And I feel like this is a good way to kind of maybe transition and see how Kalani actually acts as a heel. And obviously, if they realize it's not the right thing, when they bring her up, she could be a babyface. But I kind of had the same feeling that you did, where she kind of, like, was condescending, like, bigging up Sol Ruca, but not, like, kind of, like, you know, like, not her character. She's a little bit out of character that we usually see from Kalani being the nice, sweet girl. She was a little bit more like, now I'm the champion, a little bit like overconfident in a way where you kind of can come off kind of snarky in a way. I definitely got the same vibes.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, Kalani is one of the big baby faces and she's the champ because the other women's champ is Roxanne, who's the big heel.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But it's always weird having two baby faces in this situation.
True.
Face. And then it cuts to JC Jane and was this Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley all bumped into each other watching the screen, and they're like, oh, these people come in here and they steal our spots. We've been here longer, even though Jasmine's just like, oh yeah, we have been here longer, haven't we? Looking a little sweaty. And they basically say we should do something about that. And Fallon says, yeah, maybe we should. So Toxic Attraction 2.0 with JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix is what's probably happening. But shout out JC for still wearing the double mask with the Cody mask on as well. But yeah, so there's your heels, Siino. You want heels. Maybe we don't need Kalani heel because we got three baddies right here.
True. I think that's been a staple. Obviously, you got you covering it on What's Next, but that's always been like a staple of NXT, right? Just have like that heel.
BFFs.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just getting another iteration of it here with Jasmine, JC, and Fallon. But yeah, I kind of like all three of them teaming up together. Why not? They're not doing anything else, so we might as well do something.
We go to our main event. The NXT champion, Trick Williams, taking on the chairman, Shawn Spears. Trick gets this huge ovation here in the PC, the WWE Performance Center crowd, and Shawn Spears gets about that reaction. Just nothing.
The thing is, like, I don't understand. Okay, he wants to do this gimmick, whatever, but what he had before was so over with the 10 count, and he doesn't have to keep the Ty Dillinger name, but like that music, like that whole 10 thing, that was so over.
Sick. Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he comes out to that in Toronto, just that music to like one time, just to get that pop, because he was so over. That's the most over he's ever been in his career, obviously. For him to kind of like do what he was doing in AEW, which wasn't really clicking or working, and it's over here where it's still not clicking or working. Maybe that's not the right gimmick for you to be doing. But
what is this gimmick though? He loves chairs.
He loves chairs. I mean, we all know why he's here, right? He's the same thing that Michin is doing. He's here to help the talent, train, work with them and whatnot. We understand that. But as far as like this gimmick, I don't know. I can't see Shawn Spears being an on-air character for much longer. I feel like this is just because he just signed, he's here. But I feel like eventually he's gonna transition to more like off-camera type of role. But sure. Just do whatever you want to do, I guess. But congratulations, him and his wife just had another child, Peyton Royce. I forgot what she goes by now, but yeah, they had another child. So congratulations to Shawn Spears.
Congrats. I'm sure he's a stand-up guy. I've heard great things. Toronto area, Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, wrestling legend. However, I'm okay with never seeing him on NXT ever again in an on-screen role. Unfortunately, That's not how it's going to happen, because Shawn Spears comes out. Like I said, no pop here for him whatsoever. You can hear the creaking of his chair as he folds it to make his entrance, because no one gives him a reaction. Trick, though, gets Booker going off and wild as Ethan Page joins the commentary booth here. He's going to hate on Trick during this whole match, as Booker is like, hey, get away from him. He's a snitch, and calling Vic a hater and a snitch. And Ethan Page is like, yeah, he is a hater and a snitch.
No, Vic finally, he had enough of this. He's like, I'm not a snitch. I'm not like, he went off on Booker. He's probably like thinking what we're thinking. Like, what is your problem with?
Yeah,
like,
wait, what did he snitch? What did he snitch?
He didn't snitch. He just, I don't know. I'm as confused as we all are.
So Trick and Spears go at it here. Eventually, there's a chop exchange and a slap from Trick, and then the crowd chant, "You got Trick slapped." Here.
I like that. Yeah.
Trick does this like double choke lift up thing, very Ricky the Dragon Steamboat-esque here as well. Eventually, though, they do this running like double pump kick where they both knock each other down. As we come back from a commercial break, Ethan Page on commentary talking that shit when Ora Mensa, fighting around the world today, comes out to attack Ethan Page. What did you compare to Peter Griffin and the Chicken?
Peter Griffin and the Chicken. I want these guys to feud forever. Whenever Ethan Page gets called up, have him go there. If Ethan Page goes back to Ring of Honor, have Ora Mensa show up there. Just have them for the rest of their lives. Just fight forever.
Always fighting.
Yep.
So these two get pulled apart as it hits another break. When we come back, Spears has a crossface on Trick here, and he's trying to fight out of it. Eventually, Trick goes for the, what does he call it? The bookend, I guess is what it is.
I guess it's a bookend. Yeah. I guess you have to call the bookend if Booker T's on commentary.
I'll give Shawn Spears some credit here. He clearly has been studying his Eddie Guerrero tapes, because one of the best counters to the rock bottom ever was Eddie Guerrero countering it with this arm drag. They recreate the spot here with Shawn Spears countering Trick here. Very nice, very clean. And then hits like a code breaker, eventually hits a backstabber as well. But Trick comes back with a kip up. And then as all this is happening, Brooks Jensen, or we're not quite sure at first, some guy in all black tries to rush.
Ben Buchanan, right? He's not even using the Brooks Jensen name now.
So Ben Buchanan tries to storm the ring when security and the refs are on it, and they're acting as if it's just a fan who's gone in here. But he kind of lowers his mask, and we're revealed that it is, in fact, Brooks Jensen. And in this whole like scuffle with the refs and security, he grabs the commentary desk, and part of the thing on top of the table gets thrown right into Trick's face or head, and then allows Shawn Spears to roll him in the ring and hits the C4 into the corner, into the turnbuckle. And then Shawn Spears pins the NXT champion, Trick Williams, with the assist from a piece of cardboard off the commentary desk for the 1, 2, 3. And I realized my nightmare of Shawn Spears is now going to main event NXT Heatwave.
You got to have some Canadians on this show, right? You got to hand it to Page. I mean,
the match ends, and then it eventually cuts to Ava backstage, and she announces that because of everything that's going on, the main event of Heatwave will be a fatal 4-way. Trick, Shawn Spears, Javon Evans, and Ethan Page.
All right.
So as NXT goes off the air, but
let's talk about Brooks Jensen, Ben Buchanan.
We need to separate all this here. There's a lot to unpack.
So as of, I gotta get my dates right. I think June 21st, he went on social media and said that he is now a free agent. He's gonna be taking independent bookings, and I think his first one was supposed to be on the 22nd, the next day. He goes to this booking and then I guess disappears because his wife started tweeting that I don't know where my husband is. If you see him, please say something, blah, blah, blah. We're all like, is this real? Is this kayfabe? If this is not real, this is fucked up to do. You know, like, you don't mess around with stories like this. We're missing people. And then, like, not even like 12 hours later, she's like, oh, never mind. Sorry, I overreacted. Everything's fine. He's perfectly fine. And we don't hear from him or anything else from him. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on with him. And then he shows up here. And again, they don't acknowledge him, just like last week. Like, Davey missed it. Davey didn't realize what was going on because of the way they shoot it. They purposely don't want him to get like actual like attention. That's the whole story here. And he was going in here. He broke Vic's candy. Vic even said, like, what a fuck? Like, he had to stop himself from like cursing this guy out. And I'm not sure like what happened with the finish. Maybe something else is supposed to hit Trick, and I don't know, make a little bit more sense. But yeah, the ending was a little fluky. But I going into this match, I knew that Spears is going to win one way or another because he has to somehow have a gripe for being in this match that we all kind of knew was happening, this fatal 4-way match. But I've been enjoying all this Brooks Jensen, Ben Buchanan stuff. So, you know, in Toronto, there's a lot of Singing Man, a lot of crazy people walking around Toronto. I'm gonna be on the lookout for Ben Buchanan. I'm gonna see if he's walking around. He might show up at Wide Open at the cash-in. You never know. Like, Ben Buchanan's everywhere. He's a wild man, and I'll be looking out for him in Toronto for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, a lot to unpack here. Brooks Jensen, Ben Buchanan, B2 or B3?
B3 now, yeah, I guess B3.
Yes, sort of, because B2 is his dad, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we've been big fans of this guy since he's debuted here in NXT, and he's been the young virgin. He's been a cowboy. He just really loves Leonard Skinner, and he's been in this character. And then now they're really pushing this like scapegoat almost thing, but he's trying to blur the lines. And he's been posting a lot of videos of like original Pillman, not his kid, promos and stuff in the background, and kind of trying different things on social media. So I'm definitely like into whatever it is that he's trying. I agree. I wasn't a big fan of hey, maybe this guy's missing or something, because whether it was, from the get-go, a work, if you will, like that's never really a good thing to do, considering, bad things in real life really do happen and stuff. So I know trying to maybe lean into having his vices and the drinking might not be the best avenue for this character, but he's just starting off. And I think having the social media and the hey, I'm no longer with WWE, but he's a disgruntled employee, so he wants revenge and this and that. So I am a fan of this. It's a little different. It's very interesting, and this guy is super young, and I think he's super talented. So up next, and Poison Rana, we are in Ben Buchanan's corner, and we want to see him. We want to see him pop up in some indie feds and show up in other companies and do all this stuff, because why not? With the prohibited portal open, there's so many different avenues you could do for this kid. So I don't know if this was executed in the best way, because really it was just a piece of the table that hit Trick and did not look convincing whatsoever. But as far as the Brooks stuff, going forward, I want to see what they do with it. And it has my attention of what other stuff in today's age can you try to, be the wild card, or the wild outside or inside or whatever. So to see where he goes with this, I am interested, and kind of hope the best and hope it works out, because it could. I mean, he costed Trick, the champion, here, hit the match. So maybe
you would think that
down the line
he has to be involved in the main picture now. If he he basically cost Trick not the title, but he cost him the match, and in a way caused his 4-way match to happen. So you think that they want to push him. Now, my first thought was, unintentionally he helped Shawn Spears win, and I know in the past you guys have talked about this being like a learning tree type of thing, where he kind of takes people under his wing. Yeah. Maybe a Ben Buchanan is somebody he wants to take under his wing. You never know. And we've been talking about it way back when he had that. What song did he come out to? That dark segment where he was using, what song was it? He came out to
Separate Ways.
Separate Ways. And we were like, oh, this is perfect. He has an All Japan gimmick. He can go to All Japan. And guess what? Now they're working with these companies. They can send them to Noah. They can send them to TNA if they wanted to. Now's the perfect time to do it. And he might be like, the guinea pig in a way. Like, how are we actually going to treat this person who's out there doing his own thing? And I'm not blaming you and Davey, but I will say, ever since you guys named a virgin drink called the Brooks Jensen, he hasn't been the same. That might have been the thing that kind of, took him over the ledge a little bit.
Well, is there a shot named the B3? Isn't there like a B3 shot? Am I crazy?
I don't know.
Like there's a shot,
but there has to be one now.
We need a new Brooks Jensen.
Oh yeah.
What's that shot? Where is it like the three uncles, the three J's, the triple J?
Okay.
You get a shot glass, and you put a little bit of Jack, a little bit of Jim, a little bit of what? Captain Morgan? I don't think that fits. It needs to be all different. Glenn, get our Uncle Glenn in there. I don't remember it exactly, because I'm not the bartender anymore.
Yeah.
But lining up all different whiskeys in one shot would be the new Brooks Jensen, because you're really sticking it to it. But Brooks Jensen, Ben Buchanan, B2, if you're out there, and maybe you are in Toronto for Heatwave, we'd love to see you at Wide Open, July 6th, 2 p.m., Spadina in Toronto. We'd love to see you. The invite is there. The shots will be on us.
I would love to do a B3 with B3.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So someone get this kid a Ribera jacket. Stat. Anyways, so that was what I liked, even though it was kind of messy. Let's go to what actually happened is Trick and Shawn Spears. I could not care about Shawn Spears in today's climate, especially with this character, especially with the damn vests he's been wearing. I'm so over this, and I'm pretty damn bummed that this guy is in the main event of this upcoming pay-per-view. Again, all the flowers to him. He's done a lot in wrestling and helped a lot. It's just not his time right now, and it's one of the most dead in the water characters, and now he's in the main event of this show. This show doesn't really have my appeal, but it's literally happening 5 minutes from my house, so I guess I'm going. But like, I can't say that this one has my attention so far, and it really hurts from that being the main event. And I'm trying to say this the nicest way possible, but I do not care to watch Shawn Spears, especially in the main event for the NXT Championship. So bless the guy, but wow, I feel like that really sucks. I don't know if I'm alone out there, but let us know at Poison Rana Pod. Are you excited that this is the main event for the next NXT Heatwave? Because, you know, we went to the NXT Stand and Deliver at noon WrestleMania weekend, and I did not have a great experience. I thought it was a pretty boring show, and I'm looking that I was a bit more high up on the Battleground that just happened, and I'm feeling I might be feeling the same way coming out of this Heatwave show, because it's not that hot, this Heatwave.
Well, I mean, we have a couple things in our advantage, right? It's not going to be at 12 o'clock anymore. It's going to be at his regular time. So that's a plus, obviously. It's going to happen after Money in the Bank. So who knows how big of a show Money in the Bank is? It might be like a crazy show to the point where we're still have that adrenaline, you know, for the next day being Heatwave. And then there's always a surprise factor. You never know who might show up. Who might show up at Heatwave. As far as this match, though, I do understand it. Like, I think everybody kind of expected maybe a rematch between Ethan Page and Trick Williams. And then when they announced Trick and Javon, I'm like, okay, that's a good match, obviously, but that seems kind of odd to do that. So when we started seeing rumblings of a 4-way, I'm like, okay, I think they want to take the title off of Trick. After that reaction he got on that one random SmackDown in Florida for Royal Rumble, like that huge reaction, I feel like they want to put him on the main roster, but they don't want him to look too weak, even though he just lost to Shawn Spears here. But I feel like they could obviously take the title off of him now without him actually not taking the pin. And they could definitely do that here. You could have Javon Evans take the pin, and then maybe Trick and Javon have a little falling out off of this. That's what I think is happening. I think they're, number one, they're putting some Canadians in the main event of a Canadian show, and then they're also maybe trying to come up with a reason or an excuse for Trick to lose the title. Would I have picked Shawn Spears? No, but I understand why they want to continue the story somehow, one way or another. But the good thing about Fatal 4-Ways are they're fun, right? If you really want to do it fun, you could, and maybe not focus on Shawn Spears. You're going to be there live in attendance. Maybe you could be watching whatever Trick and Javon are doing on the other side while Shawn Spears and Ethan Page are wrestling on the other side. Who knows? But Fatal 4-Ways tend to be fun, so I have faith in this. It is an odd choice to have Shawn Spears in this match, but don't lose all hope, right? I feel like Heatwave in Toronto might be a surprisingly a good show. Yeah,
it's just like, look, the dose, the injection into the arm NXT got a few weeks ago with your TNA people with fucking Sexy Red, right? Like just people all of a sudden were like, whoa, okay, cool. What's going on? Joe Hendry comes out, has the world buzzing, gets eliminated in seconds in the Battle Royal. And this week, not a mention of TNA. I don't think we're getting TNA people at this pay-per-view whatsoever. If even a Joe Hendry appearance, if that, I just don't think we're getting any of these where people were like, oh, it could be like Worlds Collide and Dream Match this and stuff. It's nowhere anywhere near that. And instead Shawn Spears is in the main event. The chairman in the main event. That sucks. That sucks. You could put a lipstick on a pig, but I'm sorry. It's the fucking chairman in the main event in the title picture. Like, nah, come on.
Could you possibly see somebody else maybe randomly show up? Somebody we're not thinking of. Who knows what Ricky Stark's contract situation is? Could he show up at the end and face off against Trick Williams
and help ego all Ethan?
Yeah,
all Ethan ego.
I feel like the way that they've been working with other companies and the way that Shawn Michaels has been teasing like there's other things happening, other surprises. I feel like there's something definitely going to happen at Heatwave, and the fact that there's not that much, at least like from you, and I'm sure others feel the same way. There's not a lot of hype going into this show. I feel like it's going to be one of those shows where it's like, okay, maybe if I missed it or I wasn't there, I might regret it a little bit, but something, one or two things, but I don't know. Now's the era to do it. Now's the era to do surprises. So I feel like we might get a Julia appearance. I know she's wrestling the week after. She might show up and maybe have a face off against Roxanne. You never know. There's a lot of things that they could do.
Like we've been saying for the past few weeks that Shawn Michaels has been cooking, but maybe he's letting things burn a little, just a little bit for this Heatwave. I forgot to mention that the Lola Vice match has also been made official as well. So that is your updated card for Heatwave is Trick versus Shawn Spears versus Javon versus Ethan Page 4-way, Nathan Frazer Axiom versus Chase U, Kalani versus Soul, Oba versus Wes, and Roxanne versus Lola Vice. So you know what? The rest of the card doesn't sound like half bad. It's really that main event puts a whole like damper on that. Like no matter what you do, it's the guy who really gets off on chairs in the main event, and maybe I'm just being too sour on that. But overall, this wasn't my favorite episode of NXT. Actually, it didn't really feel like there was a big pay-per-view coming because some of these characters are just so flat. And again, Shawn Spears is just a character that no one seemed to really care about, and now being injected, it's like, oh, okay. So some of the highlights from this episode was the Heritage Cup, and everything else was kind of there. Nothing really pissed me off as much as Ty Dellinger, but yeah, where were you at with this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main reason for this show to happen was to fill out the card for Heatwave. Going into this, we only had one match, and even that match changed with Javon and Trick. Now we have, we got 5 title matches now. You find out who is fighting for the tag titles with Chase U. You got the North American Women's title being, they got the men's North American title, and you got the women's title. So you got 5 matches coming out of this being made official. So at least I think that was the main story to tell tonight, was to get the actual card, and then next week you have the final build for the go home show for Heatwave. Yeah. So I feel like next week might be a little bit more, and who knows, if they are gonna have some surprises next at Heatwave, maybe next week is a show where they kind of like hit you over the head, like, hey, we might not have talked about TNA last week, but we have rumblings that there's going to be something happening at Heatwave, and that might get people talking a little bit more.
Yeah, Alicia Edwards.
You would love for Alicia Edwards to come out. I'd
walk out. I'd probably be like, I don't need to see this main event, to be honest. I'm good, bro. I'd leave. I'm calling it. If she walked out, I'd leave. But we're going. I'm sure it'll still be a fun show. Don't get me wrong. I'm just like, for a second there, it seemed like NXT, had something. And I didn't.
Hey, listen, when you cook, right? When you're in the kitchen, you gotta take breaks sometimes. You can't be just cooking nonstop. You're gonna burn the food. Take a break, go outside, have a smoke, and then go back and start cooking again. That's what Shawn did this week. Shawn went outside and had a smoke. So next week he might go back to cooking. I don't know. Don't give up just yet, Braden.
I'll never give up. Never give up. Never surrender. It beat me down today, meaning like I'm going to pay money to go to a show to see the chair guy. So that's what we thought of this week's NXT. I did put up feedback, and of course, Megan has written in here. So I'm going to read his first. Sure. Far and away, the Heritage Cup match was easily the best thing on this episode. This is what happens when you leave all the bullshit and run-ins behind. Tony and Nate meshed wonderfully. Ora Mensah had a good night with a humanizing segment with Dar on the shelf. All of the metaphor are baby faces now, and it's a good move. And they got to get to the point with Jensen's constant disruption, as it caused a rare loss for the NXT champion. My expectations for Heatwave aren't super low, but they're taking a hit lately.
All right, so kind of on the same page as you. He's maybe not looking too forward to Heatwave. And we go to Corey, who says, not a fan of this episode of NXT. It felt largely inconsequential, and there are pretty much 0 matches heading into Heatwave that have any sort of real actual heat. I mean,
where's the heat?
I would say Roxanne and Lola have done a pretty good job of kind of like heating it up a little bit. I would say that. I feel like Wes Lee has, obviously been pushing for this match with Oba Femi. So those are 2 matches I'm probably looking forward to the most. But Kalani and Soul might surprise us, that they both are really good wrestlers. So I think those are probably the matches. The North American matches, the North American title match are probably the 2 that I'm looking forward to the most. Plus Lola and Roxanne.
Yeah. Well, we'll see going forward what happens. We'll see what happens with Heatwave in just a week or so here in the 6 in Toronto. Let us know if you're going, if you're making your way, because we will be there in the crowds. Look for the fellas with the frog hats. We'll be scattered around the Scotiabank Arena on the Saturday as well for Money in the Bank. So anyone Toronto area or making the trip in, come hang out with us July 6th, 2 p.m. at Wide Open on Spadina Avenue near Spadina and Queen area. And we'll be hanging out post-wrestling, John Way, possibly WH, possibly some other friends and more. So can't wait to see you find people out there. And I'm excited for the wrestling to make its way to the city, because Toronto, we don't always get the best stuff. I mean, we were spoiled last year with Forbidden Door, but I'm feeling a little okay with some of the stuff going on. Maybe not so much Heatwave, but Siino, thank you for filling in this week for Davey P. And where can people find you and listen to more of you? Because I was just listening to you on What Up Doe with B Detroit discussing the best diss songs in history, which was a fantastic chat. So what's up with that?
Yeah, a little bit more of a freestyle, kind of laid back episode of What Up Though. We kind of go into like the aftermath of the Kendrick Drake stuff, plus some, games and movies that we've been watching lately. Was a big fan of the Planet of the Apes movie. I know you saw that as well. So we talk about that. We talk about Bad Boys. We talk about, like you said, best rap disses of all time, and kind of go through some of our favorites and some that really hit us. But yeah, that's you can check that episode out. I have a new episode of Shot in the Dark happening on Thursday. So if you want to know what's going on with Frankie Kazarian and Joe Henry, like what happened, you'll find out. And as well as Women of Wrestling, you got like the Fierce sisters now, right? You got Foxy Fierce and now her sister Roxy Fierce. So I'll talk about that and the
Dojo Defenders.
The Dojo Defenders as well. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting. I don't know like how long these tapings are going, because these tapings are back from December of 2023, and they've had like 30 episodes, and I don't know when they're gonna end. They just keep cranking them out. So as long as they keep cranking them out, I'll keep talking about them on Shot in the Dark.
Yes, Shot in the Dark every Thursday. Siino, 15 minutes or less, fills you in on all the wrestling that you may or may not watch. So search Poison Rana in your podcast app. Hit that subscribe. Check out all the other shows. And Davey and I will be back next Tuesday night after NXT, the go-home edition of Heatwave. And I'm sure we'll kick off the show chatting all about our thoughts on Forbidden Door and everything else going on in the world of AEW and everything else wrestling. So, Siino, have fun with your son at Madison Square Garden for SmackDown. You mentioned to me that you're going this Friday. So,
yeah. So my son, he really wanted to go to Money Bank in Toronto, and I'm like, that might be a little difficult. So let me try to make him make good. And here they are, Madison Square Garden on Friday. So we got pretty good seats. We'll have some signs there. So look out for us. You'll know who we are by our signs. So look out for myself and my son.
Excellent. Well, have a good time with that. And anyone out there listening, supporting, appreciate it. Search Poison Rana in your podcast app or X and Instagram at Poison Rana Pod. And check out all the other shows that we do, including over on the patreon.com/Poison Rana. Only $5 to become a friend for hundreds and hundreds of wrestling reviews, movie reviews, and so much more. And we put up our Poison profile on the Von Erichs as well for free over on the free feed. If for anyone who's just recently watched the Iron Claw, it's a little great companion piece to go along with that and the dark side and everything. So lots and lots of podcasts, and appreciate everyone out there. And hopefully we get to see you in the 6 very, very soon. But Siino, take care, my friend. Everyone out there, we love you. We appreciate you. That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And sit your goofy ass down. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.